15.5 game lead, and Cleveland caught them. Now, Detroit still made the playoffs because they're number 16, but that's a tough one. NFL had a tie 40-pointer. You don't see that very often. Another, block kick. Man, block kicks are becoming a pretty big deal in the NFL. We'll talk about that. What about the Elks? They needed a win. They're honoring their owner, Larry Thompson, and that was a really good football game. Close game, and Edmonton comes up with a big victory, 27-25. This time they don't give up the lead in the final minute, and they're able to hang on. It was really after BC and Winnipeg both won. That was a must-win game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Obviously, they're kind of slim. They're going to have to sweep both Winnipeg and BC coming out of the bye week. Good news is it's possible, right? It's very possible. Now, BC plays at home against Calgary, who is decimated right now. So, I think the Elks' best chance is to catch Winnipeg. And I know Collaros came back. He looked really good, but that's a team you got to beat. So they'll face them on the 11th of October. It's a 5:00 start in Edmonton. And hopefully the crowds continue to go out because there's a lot of excitement in the building right now. The Oil Kings, they weren't excited on the weekend. They had a 3-2 lead in the third period and gave up 4 goals in the last 14 minutes and lose that game. And hey, that happens in junior hockey sometimes. Now, one of them was an empty netter, but still, that'll be a little learning lesson, I would think, for the Edmonton Oil Kings. The Edmonton Oilers, I know it's preseason, and in a week and a half, the results don't matter, but you'd always rather win than lose. And the Oilers beat the Jets on Friday 3-0. Then they beat the Canucks last night. Leon Draisaitl, just in case people were wondering, he's still pretty good. Now, his one-timer usually is a little bit closer to the net. That was like a long-range bomb for Draisaitl, a one-timer. And you even saw a little smirk from Leon afterwards, smiling with Bouchard. He's kind of probably laughing like, normally you're shooting from this far out, but today it was me. And it was a pretty nice shot. The Oilers win. And there's now some people that got to make some decisions. They put Tompkins on waivers today. I don't think that's any surprise. I think everybody thought it was going to be Skinner and Pickard in goal, but they got a few cuts to make. They play in Wednesday in Seattle and then Friday in Vancouver. Kind of a unique situation, though. They're not staying on the road. They're actually going. They're going to fly the team, the guys who are playing to Seattle, come home, and then they fly the next group out to Vancouver. Then they come home again. It's a little bit different, and our first guest might be giving us some insight into that because he has a lot to say in what goes on in the organization. Because we got a great lineup for you today. Carter O'Donnell is going to join us. His wife Courtney, she plays for the women's national rugby team. She was just in the gold medal game, so it'll be awesome. We can talk football with him, and we can talk rugby with Carter O'Donnell. That'll be great. Spec will be by. We got Kevin Woodley. Today is the Pacific Division goalie tandem rankings with Woodley. We do this every year. It goes through it 8-1 for all the other divisions. We always save the Pacific until the final week, and so we'll do them today. We got the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Vanessa Hettinger, a longtime skating coach, will join us. And Jamie Cartmel, who is the director of Oilers Communication, will join us in studio today because we always like to get different people in the sporting world on talking about their career and their jobs because there's lots of different ways if you want to get involved in pro sports. Now, many of us would have loved the opportunity to be an athlete professionally. Then reality kicks in for lots of us, and it's just not possible. Now, sometimes some people are really good and they're athletic and they have a bad injury, and so you have to pivot. Some people become coaches. Some are officials. Some get into management. Some get into just working in an organization, sales, different things, director of communications. How do you get into that? Do you know how to write? Well, that's a pretty big requirement. So let's welcome in JC, as we like to call him, Jamie Cartnell. JC, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for coming in. First time in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
So
friendly
that's good.
confines. Yeah, it's nice. Director of Hockey Communications.
Director of Hockey. Okay.
Yeah, we have a Director of Corporate Communications, which is Kevin Rapano, so I wouldn't want to get in on his action.
Well, Kev didn't come in here, so he doesn't get the full title. Sorry, Kev. No, we're kidding. I know Kev is a great guy.
Very good guy.
So let's go back into here because obviously now when you got started, did you have like, okay, this is what I want to be. I want to be the Director of Hockey Communications for an NHL team. Was that the ultimate end goal when you first started down this path of communications?
Well, I know I wanted to work in sports.
Okay.
But yeah, I sure. I mean, do you want to be, do you want to play, you want to be in a band? Sure. Do you want to, be a movie actor? Sure. I mean, that's the top job, but I can't say that I realistically thought I knew I wanted to work in sports.
Okay.
But yeah, it panned out.
But you didn't start in sports, which is, I think it's always good because people out there listen, they're like, hey, I'm going to go to school and get a communications degree. And well, what does that really mean? Where can it go? I know before, because Jamie worked for the then Eskimos, now Elks, then the BC Lions, and then of course went from BC to the Oilers many years ago. And we'll get in. You guys have been pretty successful, you and Piersy. You guys are a little bit of a dynasty. We'll talk about that later on. But you were actually working at City Hall.
Oh yeah,
beforehand.
Yep.
So, which, sports and politics, people can give very strong opinions on both.
Yep.
For certain. So was that your first gig? Was at City Hall?
I went to Grant McEwen.
Okay.
And so in communications, the PR program. And towards the end, you had a work, I wouldn't even call it an internship, but like work experience. So they would line up for you. So you had to kind of apply for them. They're all, and so yeah, I was actually initially working with emergency services. So that's fire and ambulance in Edmonton. They're not separated. So at that time, anyways, so sort of being alongside the people who are like the spokesperson for that. So the news is showing up at a fire, and you're the spokesperson saying what's going on and that kind of thing. So I sort of did that for a little while. And actually, then I guess made enough of an impression that they sort of covered off for the person going on vacation for a month or so. And then from there was just a temporary spot over at City Hall, and kind of got in. Back then, it was like at the communications branch. Like the communications branch would have a person at in the different departments of the city. So they were a communications person, but they're sort of assigned to different branches of the city. So whatever it might be. So, but yeah, I was at City Hall, and I was doing just writing messages for city councilors and writing speeches here and there, and loved it. It was great. So I was like 99, 2000. And I think most people would remember we hosted the World Track and Field Championships, as well as the World Triathlon
2001 for the World Championships.
Yeah. And the city, and as everybody knows, also the city's tremendous volunteer reputation and just a tremendous depth of volunteers here. And at the time, the city wanted to sort of honor or thank all the volunteers for those events.
Right.
And I suggested, as the time I was a season ticket holder with the Eskimos, and I said, quite often, the Eskimos have things where they host people and thank them. And I said, why don't we do that and just do a ticket thing and have everybody come to the game? And it was a sort of a late fall game. And they said, oh, that's a great idea. So they did that and worked with the Eskimos and sent out tickets to all the volunteers that had worked at those events. And I think they had the mayor, I think it was Bill Smith at that time, proclaimed that day as Volunteer Day in Edmonton.
Well, there's a lot of volunteers and philanthropy in our city. No question.
So they did that. And then at the time, it was really sort of a chance meeting. They said, Jamie, can you go with the mayor to, he's going to voice, like he couldn't make the game. So he was going to voice like a video to do the proclamation.
Yeah.
So I did. And I started talking to the person at the Eskimos, and it's like, and that's to your point of how we originally thought, like, sure, it'll be fun to work in sports.
So JMO was the guy, Dave Jameson?
No, there wasn't Dave at the time. I was just working with their partnerships person on that particular day. And I said, well, I think we're going to have an opening soon. And at the time, Shona was doing community relations. Right. That's Dwayne Mandrusiak's mother-in-law.
Yes.
And she was retiring, and they said it's probably going to be an opening. And it was, and in the CFL, it's always this and that. So it was to look after community relations and be the communications assistant to Dave. And so I just beat down the door, had an interview with Hugh, and it was pretty wild. And so I got that job and went from City Hall to.
So was your first year in 2002 when they hosted the Grey Cup?
Yes. I was up on a ladder up on the flagpoles in the very corner of the stadium, putting up Canadian flags. They've looking down with the wind howling, wondering how has it come to this?
Yeah, it's exactly like thankfully I'm not scared of heights, so you have to do different things in that. So now when you're writing speeches, so you're writing speech for someone else, and how much do they edit your speech?
Well, it's funny you should say. I remember doing one. You know how in the spring the city has kind of like the river Valley cleanup.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought to myself, I thought it's great that we do this and everybody volunteers, but how about we just don't throw mattresses into the river valley so we don't have to clean them up? So I thought maybe we should put that into the speech. Like, hey, thank you very much for everybody for being here. And it's, again, this is spirit of Edmonton and showing up and helping out. But maybe we could get to a day where we wouldn't have to clean up the river valley every spring. So how about we stop throwing stuff in the river valley? So I would occasionally put in a few things that I thought were important. So I'm not sure if they were edited out or not, but
You never listened to the live speech?
Well, I didn't actually go to the event. I just wrote the speech.
You just wrote the speech. You didn't have to go to the event.
No.
So how long would it take you to write a speech? And I got a minute speech here. I got a 2-minute speech. So you would write words or 2 minute?
Oh, I think you wrote it to time.
Okay.
Yeah, you wrote it to time. And then there was a lot of messages. There's an event here and an event there, a message from the mayor or a message from the whatever counselor for that ward and stuff. And so you'd roll in, there'd be a stack of work and they'd come in months in advance. So it was really, I would just power through the stuff. I loved it. It was awesome. You answered to yourself. You did your own research. I loved writing speeches and stuff. It was
really
fun. Oh, it's very
fun. Do you ever write any speeches for anybody at the Oilers?
Well, no, because again, that's sort of on the corporate side. Like we don't have, it's not like Chris is out giving speeches.
It might be good though.
Yeah.
Like if you could write a speech for one person that you'd want them to read, like just because you're like, hey, I'm writing this speech. You have to say what I. Now, I'm not going to defame anybody or anything like that, but knowing the personalities of the players and people in the organization where you could say, I actually wouldn't mind to see this guy give a speech because I think he'd be good at it.
Well, I guess it's fine. I guess it would depend on, I don't want to put a bunch of caveats, but I mean, it just like, I can't help but, you've been to the golf tournament.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of like to rip.
Oh, 100%,
so,
buddy.
Now, are we talking about a roast or are we talking about a speech?
Well, and it's fair question because, I've emceed a lot of roasts and there's roasts and toasts and it can be the fine line in between two. I think a good toast has a little bit of a roast.
If I could write on behalf of somebody and just sort of say, and another thing, I could pick a few guys I think who really have to bite their tongue a lot. So,
I would think so. Jamie Cartmel joins us, Director of Communications on the hockey side for the Edmonton Oilers. So you work with the football team and you started out in the community relations side, right? And then you kind of start working a little bit with Dave because you're the number 2 man. And then you got the interview to go to BC. What was the most important thing you learned from being the director of communications for a sports team that's obviously very different than City Hall? What was like the biggest learning curve or thing you look back and say, okay, this is something that I never would have thought of that's important?
Well, you sort of started out with that. I mean, the ability to write, because I sort of all the way through. And so I wasn't really dealing much with the media at City Hall. I was just sort of, just sort of working behind the scenes and writing stuff, like you said. And then, with Dave, you sort of get your first sort of taste of media relations, and that's Dave was the best. I mean, and it still is amazing. So that was a great learning experience. But when I got the interview to go, and I'm not a big believer in luck, and I tell people this, like, if you're being hired for a job, it's because they want to use your talents. And in exchange for that, you get compensation. So it's not like these jobs are a charity. I believe in good timing, but I don't believe there's any kind of luck in getting these jobs. For any person listening for the job that they got, you were hired because you're qualified for that job, at least to start. But so when I went to BC, I interviewed actually the women. There's 2 women that held down that job. They job shared. One was Debbie Button. She was going to go to the Canucks.
Yep.
And the other was going to have her second child and wasn't going to come back. And so you sort of heard, but that's the reason I'm sort of talking about luck is like the timing was fortunate. Both were not coming back to that job. And they basically kind of put the word out in the CFL, which I'm sure you're aware is a pretty small community, that, hey, we're leaving. So if anyone's interested in this gig,
apply.
Yeah. So Dave told me, that's, and you kind of have an inside vibe of what they want, right? You got to be married to it. Like it's 24/7. So I really knew what they wanted. So the interview was, I did that with the late Bob Ackles. And then I also had a call with Wally at the time. And then they offered me the job. So But previously, those Debbie and I'm sorry, the other lady's name escapes me at this time, but they both worked for the Vancouver Grizzlies at the time. So that's how far back we're going.
Wow.
So they went from the Grizzlies to the Lions, and then I came in there. But I think the biggest adjustment was you are. I wouldn't say you're a face. I'm hardly the face of anything, but you're the contact. You're the guy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot now.
You got to deal with a lot of personalities on both the player side and on the media side.
Yeah, I am.
We could have some fun with which sides. Who's got more prima donnas? You probably have a good. It'll be a really good discussion.
No, you're right. It is. I mean, we'll come back to this probably a number of times, but it is. Whether you're looking for that job or your reputation or your dealings with both the media and the players, one party wants nothing to do with the other. It's all about relationships. So it's 100%. So I'm, my work relationship.
You're like a therapist a bit.
Well, yeah. you think my personal life would be so much better, but no, I kid. Yeah, I mean, there was times where, in BC, I had an amazing kind of corner office at the practice facility, looked right over out in the field, and it was just amazing. I looked at the North Shore Mountains, and it was I mean, off in the distance because we're in Surrey.
Yeah.
And but just stunning views. I mean, right through the winter and stuff, just amazing. So I was always very grateful for. I would wake up and I would. We moved once just a little bit further east into the valley and into a place called Aldergrove, which is on the Langley, Abbotsford border. And I'd come out of our place and we backed onto a farm. It was just an amazing place. And I would turn north to get to the Canada One. And there'd be days where it was just cold. It was cold enough to rain in the winter where we were, but snow up in the mountains. And I tell you, when the sun was out the next day, stunning. And I never took it for granted. So I was always,
it was easy to go to work.
It's easy to go to
work.
But yeah, you're 100% correct. You are the middleman, and you're not often. You're just a janitor in a sense. You're just sort of cleaning things up and hoping they stay clean.
Now we're going to get into little details now.
Sure.
Of course, working with the orders when we return to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and they'll match you with another $50 deposit at PlayAlberta.ca. We'll return more with Jamie Cartnell, Director of Hockey Communications for the Edmonton Oilers.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience, but it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-471-7380 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
When it comes to choosing a hair clinic, the difference is in the doctor.
I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. Transforming how you feel about yourself is a very personal experience, and I'll work directly with you every step of the way.
Physicians come from all over the world to learn from Dr. Elliott.
When your personal goal is to help other people achieve theirs, you must deeply understand the latest treatments.
Want to feel confident and comfortable? The difference is in the doctor.
I'm Dr. Vance Elliott at drvanceelliott.com.
As members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel your life affordably, reliably, and safely. Across the province, natural gas keeps Albertans warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. For more information on the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and its members, or to learn more about how natural gas fuels your community, please visit us at fedgas.com. That's fedgas.com.
Dare you say that my behavior is unacceptable? Condescending, unnecessary, critical. I have the tendency of getting very physical.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
224. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. We always appreciate it. We have a special guest in studio. Of course, he's director of communications for the Edmonton Oilers on the hockey side. Jamie Cartmel goes by Sweet Jimmy C on Twitter. So it's a nice handle you got there, JC.
I didn't make it up.
I like it.
Given to me.
Before we get to the Oilers, you kind of like the business world, the sports world. It can be ruthless at times, right?
Sure.
Contracts, and you get hired by the BC Lions. You're working there for a while, and then if my timing, you can correct me if my timing's wrong, but you got let go in the off season, like right after the season ended in like 18 or 19. 19.
Yep.
Like it's an odd, like they didn't really ever replace your job. Like that was kind of, take us through what happened there.
Well, it was a bad season. I think we were 5-13.
That's right.
We were 0-10 against the West.
Okay.
In fact, up until Edmonton winning that home game, a year or so ago, or whatever, their last win was when I was with the Lions in October of 2019.
That's right.
So
Edmonton had a tough stretch there.
Yeah. So Devon Claybrooks was the head coach. They let Devon go.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the season, and hire Rick Campbell as the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I can't remember the exact dates. I don't know. Maybe like this. So
Rick Campbell was hired like right before Christmas.
Right. So
December
like,
15th.
Exactly. Like so yeah. So basically, I think
they let you go like 10 days before Christmas.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I just
Merry Christmas.
A familiar name rolled into the office and said, "I don't think we need a director of communications anymore," which struck me as odd in the Canada's second largest English speaking media market, but okay. And so there I was. Yeah.
Done.
So thanks.
Now,
Rick, if you're listening,
that's Rick Lowe, sure.
Yeah.
Right. So that happens. How does it work? Like you have now the CFL contracts for a lot of players are 1 year. Was yours a multi-year deal? So do they pay you out? How does that work in that side?
When I started Wally, it was contracts, but by then I was an employee.
Oh, okay.
And British Columbia has pretty favorable labor laws, so they had to pay me out because it was, it was out without reason or cause.
Okay.
So they had to pay me out. So I was paid out through August of 2020. And
I remember what happened in 2020.
The world came to an end. They had no season.
So you're just like, I'm getting paid to do nothing.
So I got paid, and whatever contracts Ed guaranteed got paid too.
Well, and it's so funny about that because that was such common practice that people tried to make it sound like it wasn't. Like there's lots of guys who, hey, you get your bonus here beforehand. And if COVID didn't shut down, no one even ever talked about it. I always found that somewhat interesting.
I can only offer what I think probably happened, because what would happen quite often in the CFL and for a time in the NFL was because those contracts are not guaranteed.
100%.
As a guy would sign for a whole boatload of money, and then it might be for extended years, but they could always come back to the next year and go, well, not so sure we want to pay X.
Exactly.
So maybe and it's kind of like a gun to your head and be like, you either want to play or you don't. So and I'm not saying any of this happened because I don't know, because I would, but I would assume that the only guarantee that someone could offer a player is like, look, I need a quarterback, and if I don't have you, then I have to pay somebody. So I will guarantee you X amount of money, which in my salary cap, I can't afford not to have a person playing that position. So sure, you're making this, but I guarantee you'll make this. What are the chances that there's going to be no season?
Yeah,
right?
well, exactly. It never happened, right?
Exactly. So, but again, I that's just my take.
Yeah. No, that's so. Then you leave there, and then you come to the orders organization from the CFL to the. Now, is it a lot of knowing people? You'd been in Edmonton before, so is it a lot of okay? I don't know if you'd cross paths with Tim Shipton before he hired you or not. Like, how much of relationships go into, you think, getting a job in communications?
Well, I guess if we phone Bob Stauffer, he would tell me he got me the job. I kid. I love you, Bob. Well, okay. So I had a little bit of I had a sort of a sports adjacent job that we moved to Calgary for. So I was there got there in September of 2020. So in between I did see that there was a communications job with the Oilers available, but that was the corporate communications. And then of course, COVID and everything else kind of went sideways. And so it wasn't there. And then actually, to be honest with you, so I'm working in a sports adjacent job, and my sister sends me a note. She's like, have you seen that the Oilers have a job on LinkedIn, a communications job? I said, oh, I think it's just I've already looked into that. I don't think it's going anywhere. She goes, well, I said, well, send me the link. And so she does. And I click on it and
it's on the hockey side.
That's the job.
Right.
So I thought, okay, here we go. So
did you get a new suit for that interview?
That was, I was in Calgary. So that was December. Like I'm talking the week before Christmas, December 2020. So the job is there because that's when they just shortly before they announced we're going to have.
And there's no season on at this point because the season didn't begin until January of 21.
But they did announce that there would be.
There would be. Yes.
There would be. And there's going to be a Canadian division and all that. So I apply for it. I get a call later that day, the Oilers. I mean, I knew I would have it. I knew I'd have an interview. I mean, I'd been doing it for 4 years with the Eskimos and 14 seasons with the Lion. You got 18 years of experience. You'd like to think you can at least get an interview.
Yeah.
And so I had the initial interview, and they said, okay, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Call later in the day. Can you be available for a Zoom call tomorrow? Sure. With who? Well, Bob Nicholson and Tim Shipton and someone from HR and I forget, someone else. And they said, yeah, sure, I did that. So then the next day, hey, great. But they were in fast forward motion.
Oh, yeah, because they had a month to get to the season.
Yes. So the next interview was with, they said, are you available tomorrow? Whatever that day was, like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And I said, yeah, for sure. And they said, okay, this will be with Dave Tippett and Ken Holland and Bob Nicholson and Tim Shipton again.
All right.
And I thought, holy crap, I get to meet Ken Holland. So then, okay, so I know I'm going to have this. So yeah, first thing I do is I phone Dave J. He goes, oh, I know. And so, but I think in the background, Tim Shipton would have spoken to people like Ryan Rashog, and because the relationship between Edmonton media and the club was not good,
dude. Yeah.
It was pretty contentious.
Yeah. And really, I was always, as a guy who, and I don't think I'm lying when I say this, I'm not overly contentious with it. I try to be fair. I don't stir a lot of the pot very often. And I felt like there was a lot of, there was like faux outrage that started from nothing. And I'm like, suddenly it's like, why are the guys getting so upset? Like the players had nothing to be upset about really, but it came from somewhere. And so you did. And, there's been a very big change, I would think, in a few years. And like lots of things, one-on-one interviews with different players, just meeting away with no microphones and just talking, right? Sure. Like you're in communications. And I'm a big believer in communications. I always tell players, I'm like, if you get mad at me if something I say are right, please tell me and we'll discuss it one-on-one.
Sure.
You can hear my point. I'll hear your point. I mean, it doesn't change what I think, but at least you try to be respectful. So it was different because I'd been in it for 20 years at that point, and I'd never noticed it like that at all in the last few years prior to you coming on.
Yeah, and we can talk about sort of my philosophy on some of those things as well. But just to sort of put a ribbon on it. So I had that interview with those four guys, and
what did Tippett and Holland like? What did they ask you?
They just sort of said, well, here's the thing too. Don't forget, like I'm on the coast. I can't watch games. Right.
Yeah. Because they're not going to ask you who's good.
No. Yeah. Well, look,
hey, JC, what do you think about our power play?
I don't like the way this breakout. I mean, like I can't watch games. Like,
you can't.
I'm on the coast I can't get sports, at Pacific, I'm not watching those guys, right? I couldn't care less about the hockey team there. So, but anytime I could watch the Oilers was when it's on a national broadcast. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know like a ton about on the team. Like you're hearing these draft pick, of course, Connor and stuff, and Leon. But I mean, I wasn't really watching the games.
Who's this Evan Bouchard kid? Because he came in, that was his first year, right? Played a little bit.
Yes. So, or Darnell Nurse. I thought, isn't that the kid from the World Junior team? I mean, admittedly, like, I mean, I was a football guy too.
Yeah.
20 years in football.
Yeah.
Like it's just different. So, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I was born and raised here, and the Oilers were my life. The Eskimos were my life. But when you're away for 15, like you just lose touch with it.
Yeah,
You know, they're not making the playoffs, and it's just so it's just not on your radar as much. But no, the interview was just, they just sort of said, you know, what are you seeing there? Like, what are you seeing in Connor, and what are you seeing like as from a media perspective?
Right.
And so I sort of gave him my perspective on what I'm seeing and what I sort of stood for. And I said, well, you know, like I don't view my job as protecting people. It's not my job to protect people. It's my job to equip people. You know, right?
I like that.
So yeah. So, you know, it's like you hold your kid's hand across the street how many times till they're in high school? No, eventually you have to learn how to press the button and get a walk light and know what it means and cross the street. So I was big on equipping, not necessarily big on protection. Now, am I going to throw some blocks here and there? Or are we going to, you know, watch for, you know, timing and who's, you know, we can get into all that, sort of the minute details. But initially that was sort of my thing, was like, I'm not going to come in here and just, we're going to build relationships with people. We're going to sort of, we're going to rebuild this from what and again, that was, and I can't understate it enough with Dave J. Like, he was giving me what the radar was like around the team and in the market and the sports or the sports, you know, market or the sports media. So I knew, like, with that insight, like, it was very helpful. But I think also, like I said, because I had an existing relationship with someone like you, and I don't know if they talked to you about it, but with Ryan Rashad, because he was with
I lied and said JC is a pretty good
terrible.
guy.
What a mistake. Spec, and I mean, I've known Spec for 25 years. So, I mean, but yes. So when you leave on good terms and you have a good reputation in another market, and people were reaching out to me when I lost that job with the Lions, just to say that, you know, but, you know, like they say, you know, those types of compliments and those types of feelings, and 25 cents will get you a cup of coffee, but don't forget the 25 cents. It wasn't like any of those places were reaching out to give me a job.
Yeah.
So again, it's on you. So, but that reputation, I think, in that, you know, and those relationships behind the scenes, they would say, yeah, he'd be good for us. I would think, or even, and Bob as well. And I kid about that, but Bob was in my corner as well. And he certainly has a voice there with Tim to a certain extent, a certain amount of input and well, I don't know if it's input, but whatever, you know what I mean? He's respected. So, but that's earned. So I'm not ringing my own bell, but it wasn't a charity.
No.
It wasn't like they're doing, this guy.
Yeah.
This guy, you know.
Yeah, it's a big job, especially in the Canadian market. And one at the time that was trying to dig themselves out of a hole where it'd been like, basically you'd missed the playoffs 12 out of 13 seasons. There was a lot of anger in the community, and rightfully so. You know, and then obviously it's turned around, and it's been, you know, as great a success as you can, you know, one small step from what the ultimate goal is, but it's been very successful overall. We always hear, we got a few texts wondering is it true that the players get intense media training, or is that more of a myth?
Well, at this point in their careers, they've been doing media for a chunk of time. I mean, you know, Connor was doing interviews when he was a child, and they go through junior, or they're in the NCAA. So they come to me, or come to us, to Andrew and I, sort of, I mean, they may not be good at it, but they certainly come to us with some media experience. We try to fine tune things. And you're going back to something you said, like, you know, someone, I have sort of a number of things that I would sort of talk to the players about, just depending on the situation. And one of them that you sort of touched on is, like, to me, I call it the 2 T's, tone and truth. Don't confuse those, you know, just because you don't like the way.
Don't confuse tone and truth. Oh my God, I should be a t-shirt right now. That's unreal.
I might be in every week. Which is to say, and I've talked about this with players, and I've talked about it. I've had the opportunity a few times to have, like, you know, be on a flight with Connor and spend like a couple hours laying out kind of what my philosophy is and what what we can do and how to handle certain things. And I mean, he is under a tremendous amount of stress, not just from the market and the playing, but when you have to speak to, Pride Tape or Hockey Canada or you name it, they come to the Face of Hockey to talk about it. And we'll talk about what's probably on the radar next is 5 guys coming back to the NHL potentially and stuff. It ain't coming to us, but it's on the radar. Someone's going to ask him about that, or Himes or Leon. And so again, it's not my job to protect them and say, we're not answering those questions here today. No, it's my job to equip them. So that's why we talk about it weeks in advance. But as I said to Connor, let's not confuse tone with truth. And again, and you'll have Mark on later. I mean, Mark can sometimes be a bit of a drive-by shooter on Twitter and stuff like that. But oftentimes it's not wrong about what he's saying. They just don't like the tone of what he is saying or someone else.
Yeah.
But let's not confuse the two.
Yeah, so, I really like that. That's something that I just think in everyday life, don't confuse, tone with the truth. Right. And now at the same time, how you deliver the truth, if it comes in a different tone, anybody who's in a marriage will understand that one. Right. Hey, if you deliver this certain way, I don't like your tone, and you're, oh my God. So that does make, I think a lot of people out there listening can relate to that. And I think it's a really good way to look at it, because the statement truth hurts. I find sometimes I found people in any walk of life have a tendency sometimes to get more upset about something that's truthful because they know it, and they're more annoyed by it than anything else. And then when someone else says, it's like your brother, you can call your brother an idiot, but the minute someone else calls him an idiot, you're like, wait a sec, you're not allowed to say that. Right. I can say it because I'm his brother, and got to live in the same house with him for how many years, and all that stuff. But so when you sit down with like a McDavid or a Draisaitl or whatever, and like something big, do you go one-on-one? Do you do it in a room where okay, guys, 4 of you might get asked this in the next week, so let's talk out all at once, or is it better one-on-one?
I kind of pick my spots. I'll tell you a funny story about Leon. So this is the COVID season where there's no fans in the stands, but we're playing the games anyway. And so everything was Zoom. It's awful. Everything is Zoom. Oh yeah. And so, you're winning some games, we're losing some games. And so, like you lose a game, you got to make some guys available. And we're sort of saying, okay, we need a leader, like Ken's thing was that leadership speaks to losses. So,
right. Okay. Yeah.
That's fair too. And so, we're picking, a certain guy to speak to a loss. And then I started, at the time, I was with Sean May. He was my number 2, and he's with the LA Kings now. And I would say to Sean, why are we picking these guys? Like, why are we picking who the media wants to talk to? They should be picking these guys. Like, and they should have a consensus among each other of who they want to talk to. Like, why are we picking these guys? Because then because you also need the guys who can speak well. So
100%.
I got Adam Larson giving it to me like, hey, I only talk when we lose. Well, that's the problem. Not the problem, but that's the nature of the game, is like, generally speaking, and again, generally speaking, the forwards score the goals and the defense play the defense. So if you have a loss, and why do we, and another thing I've talked to the players about is like, losers are orphans. Who's the daddy of this loss? And Spec, will jokingly say that to me sometimes too. Like everyone wants to know, why did we lose? And we don't invite 18-947 into the media room afterwards to say, why did we lose? That's the media. That's the conduit from the fans to the team is the media. And so it's their job to say, or to investigate this loss. Yeah. Why did we lose? So we would like to speak to X and X and X and X. So that's how we do it. But at one point, so we had lost, I remember it was kind of a bad loss to the Leafs at home.
Oh yeah. Guys lost 3 in a row, actually.
Yes. And so I think
we scored 1 goal in 3 games.
Yes, it was bad. Yeah. It was bad. And so one of the requests going out the door, because we had a day off the next day, was Leon. And so
the grumpy German. And I like Leon. We get along great. But Leon, the grumpy German is like it's a very accurate portrayal of Leon. Now I remember Leon's like, I'm actually a pretty funny guy. I'm like, I know, but some days when he's grumpy, like and that's okay. I said, dude, I can't hide my emotions either. When I'm annoyed, like it's really hard to be like, oh, everything's great. Like I'm not good at it.
Leon is a pro.
Yeah.
He is a pro.
Like Leon's quite funny, actually.
Very funny. Yeah. He's hilarious. Anyway, but I'm new. Okay, I'm new. This is my first season. So we lose that final game, and we were bringing guys into the Hall of Fame to do the Zoom calls. And so I'm thinking, okay, where's Leon here? I happen to walk out where he's leaving. I'm like, Leon, you got to do media here, because I'm not doing it. I said, you can't. I'm thinking, oh my God, like we've got like what's gonna like. I'm just now thinking, oh, here we go. Now guys are gonna start writing or saying, oh, now he can't deal with the media, can't handle. Like, so I'm thinking I've put him in a position where if like he has to do this, otherwise, and at that point he's not sort of seeing that.
Yeah.
So he does it, thankfully, and he says something, and I think Titch said something like on the call where he said, well, something about it started off very contentious. And I think it was Titch that said something. And I think he said something like, well, speaking of not showing up, blah, blah, because Titch, Titch is very funny.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, this is really
too bad he suspended his own Twitter account. That's this is disappointment, Titch. No one likes a quitter.
He is funny in our the media chat.
Oh, no, he is.
Very funny. Hey, but I'm thinking, oh, JMO, we are like 40 games into this life, and this is going into the ditch. This is not good. So he does it, and then he makes his kind, he leaves, and we had the next day off. So I'm
at the 24-hour rule to calm down.
Yeah, everyone take a breather. So we had a bit of a few days off. And so at that point, Titch had sent me a note and said, look, I apologize. I shouldn't have said what I said. And I said, you know what, Rob, don't worry about it. I think it'll be. He goes, do you think I should apologize? I said, no. I said, I think it'll be fine, and everything else. And of course it was, but I get back. And Leon is the first in the building. Like today we did a German Zoom call. We'll talk about that later. So he's got all the German, it gets lined up by one of his agents. And I, what do you call it? Mediate the German Zoom call. I can't understand a word that's being said, but I don't know if the questions are good or bad, but it's just a lot of German.
Yeah.
And so but anyway, so Leon is always in the building early, very early. So I see him. So I said, hey, the other night, I said, thanks for coming back to do it. And I said, we kind of got into it with Titch there. And, he even apologized and said, I said I wasn't going to. He goes, look, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you came from, but nobody here wants to be famous. Okay. So enough. So I'm like looking at him, and part of me is like, I'll tell you what, kid. But then I thought, no.
No one wants to be famous.
And this goes back to what you're talking about, the truth. So I'm thinking, no, he's right. He's right, Jamie. He doesn't need you to double back and tell him everything is okay and to thank him and to make sure. Like I thought, no.
Oh, that's what he was saying. Like, just let it go.
And he didn't say that, but I thought this is his way of saying, like, I don't care. Like, it's over.
Oh, okay.
I don't need to relive it.
Right. Yeah,
and like, it's like, exactly. So he taught me a lesson that day. It may not have been in the tone that I would have liked. He didn't say, hey, slap me on the knee. Hey, by the way, James, I really appreciate it, but it's okay. No, it was like, hey, I don't know where you came from. No one here wants to be famous.
Yeah.
Like his way of saying, like, we don't enjoy it. No one's looking to apologize to these guys. Like, it's an obligation. And we'll talk about the 2 O's.
Yes.
So he taught me a lesson. And from that point forward, okay, I thought, okay. And also Leon, when you talk about being mad, like Leon, he'll get mad at everyone. Like there was one time where we were, Hyman was on the board to do media. And so he wanted to get going. And so we leave it to the leadership guys to open the room so Hyman's like, yeah, let's go. I want to get going here. And so Hyman starts doing his media, and Leon was just a practice. And so Leon comes, why is the room open so early? I said, he wanted to get going. I mean, I'm sorry. He turned to Hyman, why is the room open so early? So he gives it to everybody. So it really is a democracy. But no, it was that. And I thought, okay, like it's a lesson in everybody is different. And we are all just people. They might be really good at hockey, but they're just guys.
That's what I always try
they're
to
husbands.
tell people.
They are brothers. They are uncles. They are fathers. They are just guys. And it doesn't matter if it was football, and it doesn't matter what level of football or now in hockey. They're just guys, and they just want to be treated like guys. Connor does not want to be patted on the back every time you see him and say, what a great game last night. He'd rather talk about other things. He's talked to me about my brother running for mayor, and give me a sign. It'd be great. Like he's very supportive of that. A couple other guys have taken signs and stuff. And where does he stand on this? And Nuge is like,
can I have his number? I want to talk to him about.
Nuge like, could he get 102nd Avenue open up again? So well, if they had listened to Tim 6 years ago when he said we should do both bridges now,
oh my God,
instead of just the one over Groat, you wouldn't have had the road closed. But
you're gonna have people freaking out right now. Anybody downtown, Serenity now.
Yeah.
Serenity
now. I won't do a big pitch, but please, for the love of this city, please vote for this man. It's going to be bad if you don't. But no, so in that moment, Leon definitely taught me a lesson. So there, you're dealing with a lot of personalities, but in terms of, so we'll talk about the 2 O's. So media, as you know, like the players are obligated to do it. It's part of your contract.
Yes.
It's written right into
Right
the
in there.
CBA.
Yep.
But we have some top flight players, and we, as again, you're a member of the media. It's a very good working relationship with everybody on that side of the ledger that just says, okay, we're not talking to 97 every single day. We're not talking to 29 every single day. We usually offset those guys at least by a couple of days. But we've got great guys that are also available and can talk. We got Hyman and Ekholm and
I find lots of the low end guys like David Tomasic. My first interview with him was 20 minutes, was fantastic.
Yes,
I really and after the interview was over, like he asked me all questions about Edmonton, like just like a very well spoken guy, and I'm like, those are the guys you love to talk to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have a room full of really good guys, and even and even if they're a little bit tougher to get to know, they're often good guys behind the scenes that you just kind of wouldn't know about.
Some guys are going to be protective. I totally understand. We got to take a quick break, JC. Then we'll come back with the 2 O's next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Is your company drowning in paperwork and administrative tasks? Do you need more data to make better decisions? Nectar.io is your company's all-in-one solution for fleet and materials management, safety, time cards, and GIS-based project management. Now is the time to capture and transform field, site, and shop data into boardroom-level business intelligence, all with one login. Visit Nectar.io to book a demo today. Nectar.io, your business made better.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Listen up, because you're not going to want to miss this. Right now is your chance to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
It's time to learn those ABCs and CRVs. Sherwood Honda can tutor you on fuel efficiency, reliability, comfort, and style. With all those drop-offs and pickups and practices, back to school means you hardly have time to park before you're back on the road. But it's a lot more fun doing it in a new ride. But when you do the math, Sherwood Honda adds up to the best deal you'll find. You sure would move to the head of the class and become a Rhodes Scholar with a lesson from Sherwood Honda.
Score an A-plus deal on 5G Ultra Home Internet from Explore. Switch to incredible internet speeds and get a $100 gift card for a limited time. Upgrade today at explore.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of PlayAlberta.ca. And we'll stick on with JC. We're going to go in the room now, brought to you by Action Electrical. They are hiring second, third, and fourth year electricians. You're looking to get started for a fantastic company and build a career, go to careers at Action Electrical. And remember, it's not luck if you get the job, okay? They're hiring you because you're good. There you go. As Jamie Cartmel continues on. So let's get to the 2 O's in communication. Obligation is one.
Yeah.
And the second one is?
Well, so, okay, like a little bit of a backstory. So, I mean, I've these sit downs with Connor, mostly when we're coming back from the player media tour in Vegas. And we sort of talk about that. And I said, I mean, you're obligated to talk, as we talked about, through the collective bargaining agreement. It's written into their contracts that they're obligated to talk, but let's not also forget that sometimes it's an opportunity, right? So it's obligation and opportunity to send a message. So you can send a message to your teammates. You can send a message to the fans. That loss was unacceptable. We need to be better, that type of thing. Or if those guys, well, I remember a certain situation where someone hit, I think Connor got hit right by the bench.
Yeah.
Defenseman, no longer there, retired, oft injured. Played for the Canucks. Someone would probably text
Edler?
Yes. Remember he hit Connor?
Yeah.
And then Nursey went after
Yes.
him. So, and then you guys asked for Nurse post game. And I think he sort of said, I don't really remember it and everything else. And part of me was like, no, D, here's where we go. If people think they're going to come into this building and they think they're going to do something here, they're going to find out.
Yeah.
The way that eventually Evander would say.
Yeah. Screw around, you'll find out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that to me is an opportunity, that you can send a message. You can send a message to the fans. You can send a message to your opposition. You can send a message to your teammates, because we don't have everybody available after the game. We have 2 or 3 guys. So yes, sometimes it's an obligation, but sometimes it's also an opportunity. So let's take advantage of this opportunity, or let's look at it as an opportunity rather than an obligation, because
I always find it's interesting. So team win or lose, what? Sometimes you're talking to media within 7 minutes after the game, right?
Yeah.
And when it's like, and especially when it's a devastating loss, more so people are fired up. When it's a crazy win, people are more excited. It's easier,
Sure.
right? Like you're just as probably high in the emotional scale, but one's just more positive, where now you're annoyed and you're mad. And so you got to have serenity now, or calm down. On those tough losses, it's coming. Do you kind of remind guys, hey, or do you let them go? They're veterans. Like, is there ever a talking point to say, hey, this is probably coming today?
Post game, I would never, no, they know.
Okay.
They know. Again, these are all just scenarios. It doesn't matter what team it's with. If the goalie's given up 5.
But what if it's a younger, inexperienced guy that they're going to ask with? Then you talk to them? Or do you try to protect him and not have him speak?
Well, we can't give away all our stuff. Come on, Jay.
No, but I can see it. There is a method at times.
There is. And then there's certain situations where I'm happy to take a bullet. And we've had to do that too, where to say he's with the training staff and he's just not going to be available. Right. And we will do that. And again, this is like not a complicated conversation, but it all kind of comes back. So sometimes you have to use one of those bullets with the people that you work with every day. So for the most part, if we are all on the same page and we have a good working relationship with the media, then occasionally you'll get a pass.
Yeah.
And
as long as it's not too many times, right? 100%.
One a year.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah. Like in America, everybody gets a get out of jail free card sometimes, where it's like, yeah. And I always like to say it this way. I've always talked, my adage with players is, people who treat you with respect, when it comes down to where you have to criticize them, you'll criticize them probably more with a butter knife than with an absolute steak knife and a machete. Cause you're like, you know what? I don't care about this person. I really don't. Cause, and you can see it. It's just, if it's human nature, when someone's a complete ass to you, when the time comes and you have an opportunity,
sure.
Yeah, could you be a better person? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But sometimes you'd be like, you know what? I don't really worry about it, because this person has shown no semblance of respect. So I'm probably not going to treat him with respect back.
Right.
Now, it doesn't make it right or wrong, but I see that unfold lots on both sides.
Yeah.
Right. And, from my stand, I always try to tell players, I'm like, hey, if you have an issue with Peter, that's fine. You have an issue with Peter. Don't take Peter's issue out on me because, quote, media. Like, I hate the term media because it's so all-encompassing and it's everybody. I said,
yes,
I'm a member of the media, but if a guy has an issue with Jason, then come to Jason. We'll talk it out. And maybe we'll, we'll have a tete-a-tete. Like, I think I have a pretty good relationship with Leon. Leon and I had a huge bleep you moment many years ago, right? I had one with a few other guys over time. It happened in football. You've had it. It's just, that's how it is. And if you don't stand up for yourself, I don't think you'll have any success in my job. And conversely for a player, right? It's the same way. So I don't have a problem with it. I never lose sleep over. You're not going to be buddies with guys, especially now that I'm older. When I was younger, it's different because I'd see a lot of players out at a bar. And I was out there and I'm like, dude, what you do off the ice, I'll never talk about. That was always my internal rule. And I stuck to it. I'm like, it's just that's not what I report on. Right now, I'll warn you when I hear something, if you're a moron, like I won't name the player's name, but I actually had a player and I went and met him at a restaurant, tell him, I said, dude, I'm hearing this, and this about you. I'm not going to report it, but I can tell you someone else will. You better clean up.
Yeah. I remember with the Eskimos, Vicky Hall would let Dave know, hey.
Oh, Dave. The day you might have been working there. So I was young working for the Elks. I know I won't say the player's name, but there was somebody had put posters of a player up on White Avenue. And I was walking down White Avenue and I saw these posters and I'm like, oh, jeez, this isn't good. And I just called Dave. And I remember he was so mad. It was like, midnight on like a Wednesday. And I called him. I'm like, hey, Dave. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, Dave, I'm really sorry, but I don't really know what to do, but I thought you might want to know this.
Okay, thanks.
This is what I'm seeing. You might want to get there. Okay, thanks. And then I hung on the phone. And we laughed about that for a long time because I'm just like, geez, like this is my job and I might want to help you out and give you a warning. Because then I look at it like, hey, later on, if I need help because I missed an interview, you might give me a second chance to get an interview.
Right. So yes, to all that.
So you were working like at that point, you're in crisis mode. You guys must have had to go down there and rip some of those posters down because there had to be at least 10 or 20.
Well, I didn't, but I heard about it. But getting back to our guys, no one likes you in the room. I just thought.
That's okay.
I don't think that. That's this market. I think generally speaking, for as frantic as people get about the hockey team, I think we have good people there's good people on both sides. So I tell the guys, I don't think anyone comes into that room with an agenda. No one's going for gotcha. And, I quite often will get a heads up like, hey, my editor is asking for this, or my head HQ is asking for that. And so I will be asking this. And I appreciate that. You don't get that if you don't have a good relationship, because if it's contentious, then they're looking out for you too, because you guys leave the room. If there's bad questions or someone's being a jerk, it's not like the players say something to you. They say it to me.
Yeah.
And if a guy is being a jerk to you, it's not like you say it to the player, you say it to me. So I'm kind of, we're in the middle, Andrew and myself. So, but I don't believe anyone comes into the room with an agenda. And sometimes there's some difficult topics and some difficult questions, but our guys are pros. And like you said, when I said, that losses are orphans, wins have lots of daddies, right? Right.
Lots of guys
goaltending, power play, and we killed this, and a shorthanded goal, and a great fight that sparked it. Like, there's lots of daddies, and for a win, so that's anybody can do it.
Yeah, it is
in a win.
We got a few checks, and I was going to ask you this, then we'll go to a break again. But guys, I really enjoyed this, learning lots. I'm just curious, what was Jamie's role in the infamous "Why Are You So Pissy" between Maddie and Draisaitl? Because that one, of course, it went viral. How do you just let it work itself out at that point? Because Leon said, hey, I don't need to be famous. So do you just let it go after that? Or is that one where you're like, hey, we got to have a conversation?
Well, okay. And Jim Matheson is in the Hockey Hall of Fame, so let's not besmirch his name. But in that moment, no, I'm not going to go down the hall and point my finger into Jim's chest and say, no, because once that came out, if you recall, the people who were hardest on Jim was Jim's own audience. And they were, that's why I don't get too excited about social media and stuff like that, because there's just sort of,
it's more negativity.
And Jim
there than
took a lot of heat for that. And that's his audience. That's not like the players aren't his audience. The readers are, the listeners are, like, so they were the one. And then he wanted to apologize, or he apologized. And so you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just have to.
But if a guy wants to apologize, do you set it up face to face? Is what I'm saying. Like, if somebody came to you and said, hey, can I have a conversation with a guy, rightly or wrongly? Do you say, hey, you got to talk to him yourself? How does that work in the communications role?
I think it really sort of depends. I'm trying to think. It's so rare that someone's gone so far offside they feel the need to apologize. But in that moment, I think it was more about people go, well, how come you're not attacking Jim? Why aren't you getting so mad at Jim? I'm like, to what end? Like his own audience is saying, that's not cool. And you deserve that. Or, I can't recall the details, but it was what it was. And so, I mean, I'm not going to go to Leon and, and ask if he's okay. And like, he was just fine.
Yeah.
And again, knowing what I knew about him, once it was over, it was over. It's not a big deal. It's just the heat of the moment kind of thing. So Leon gets mad at me a lot during the season. He'll score a winning goal in overtime and say, Leon, can you just stop with Gina? But that's just him. Because he just sees it as part of his job. And it's like, and Connor and Leon are the worst about talking about themselves. They'll talk about each other forever, but they don't want to talk about themselves. I really respect that. But it's, and I also really get
it's hard at times.
It's
because
hard.
You're like, dude, you just scored, 50 goals and you're one of only 10 players ever to have 50
100%.
and 50. Like you might have to be like, hey, this is all right.
And they don't get me wrong. They love the support and they appreciate everything that's said, that's nice about them. But until the ultimate goal is accomplished, it's just appetizers, right? So but it's also really long season. And, scoring the overtime winner to beat Chicago 3-2 and we're about to get on a flight and go to Nashville and play the next, it's a lot. And sometimes those moments just sort of get the best of you. It doesn't mean it's not personal. And I don't take it personally. It'd be nice if he didn't do it, but it is what it is. I love the kid and it's just part of the job. No one put a gun to my head. I applied for the job. So that's what comes with it. So
I love it. Jamie Cartmill, join us. We're going to keep you for one more segment, JC. Thanks so much. We'll get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace or your AC. It's so warm, you're probably still using it. LegacyHeating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Quick roster update for the Oilers. Goaltender Matt Tompkins placed on waivers for the purpose of assignment. The team's next action comes Wednesday in Seattle, and they'll take on the Kraken. Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel's defenseman Dylan Samberg will miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist. Samberg, 26, appears to suffer the injury in Saturday's game against the Calgary Flames. On the ice tonight, you got the Panthers and Canes. Rangers take on the Islanders once again. Bruins and the Flyers. Flames take on the Kraken, Duck Sharks, and the Penguins in Detroit. In the NFL, Week 4 wraps up with a doubleheader at 5:15. You got the Dolphins and the Jets from Miami. Then at 6:15 down in Denver, Broncos up against the Cincinnati Bengals, and some firings in the majors. Bob Melvin's time with the San Francisco Giants is over. The team made that announcement earlier today after the completion of a season in which they went 81-81. Meanwhile, Minnesota Twins firing Rocco Baldelli a day after the 44-year-old finished his 7th season at the helm with the organization, missing the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, talk some Jays with Mike Wilner, and hear another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Sure, your couch is comfortable, but watching the game is always better and on the rocks. With crystal clear TVs, you won't miss a single play, and the specials are a major league win. Pre-game warm-up starts with specials 30 minutes before the puck drops. Get 69-cent wings and $5.75 Molson Canadian and Coors Light drafts. And play score and win every game for your chance to win big. Be part of the action this hockey season. See the menu online at ontherocksyeg.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Common thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah! Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
When it comes to sports in Edmonton, Jason Gregor is a must-listen. He brings you the inside scoop with guests from across North America. If it matters in sports, you'll hear it here. first. Gregor rolls out weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports 1440.
At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
For all things golf carts, it's the Golf Cart People. Their certified techs provide expert service from maintenance to custom upgrades. Customers can explore the sales floor for new and used Club Car, Yamaha, and E-Z-Go models. The Golf Cart People stock a wide variety of parts and accessories to keep every ride in top shape and offer convenient rentals for tournaments, weddings, and festivals. Trusted for sales, service, parts, accessories, and rentals since 1997. Visit the Golf Cart People at golfcartpeople.com. Your complete golf cart solution.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks as always for listening, watching, wherever you get the show. If you get the podcast later and you're joining us now, thank you so much. As always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, where this season, even better odds in all the games and even easier to maneuver. Download the app. Quick, easy, Play Alberta at the App Store. And for one final segment, very gracious with the time, Director of Orders Hockey Communications, Jamie Cartmel, joins us in studio. And we were talking about the O's and, dealing with different personalities. And, you bring up young players, because we got a lot of people, they always text about how, and we kind of debunk the myth a little bit of media training. But it is interesting, like hockey's overall, and I don't love the word culture, but in hockey, compared to some of the other sports, there's not as big of personalities like basketball, especially even in the NFL, and so that they'll come out and say stuff. And, it's kind of like if a guy says something funny or, whatever it is, like, do you notice that sometimes where it's hard to describe why, but there's a lot of players who, even the superstars, you're like, man, you can say whatever you want. You're still going to play every night because you're one of the best players in the league. Mm-hmm. And you were in football. Why do you think it's different where it's almost like, geez, I'm scared to say something, even though it's never anything really that bad?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I mean, the culture of football is very different. I mean, there's a lot of, hockey is a sport that you need equipment to play and you need ice. And therefore you need to have money or funding or, or access. I mean, you can play football anywhere. And if you're good,
soccer,
basketball, right?
Yeah.
So, I think just the cultural differences are a lot in football, and especially in the Canadian Football League, and hockey is very much a sport that's, to some extent, with most guys playing it, requires a different kind of set of resources, we'll say. So I think they come in. There's less jobs in hockey on a hockey team than there is football. I think job security, even though the contracts are guaranteed, I think that this,
outside of the tops, like the third and fourth line guys, man. Like, I think people, when you talk to players who are in that role, and, some guys get pretty comfortable, but there's a lot that it's the stress involved of, am I keeping my job for next year? Am I keeping my role on the team? Because nowadays you could have a 3-year deal at $1 million. Seems like if we don't think you're good enough, you go to the minors because you don't count against a cap anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not about the money for the player. It's about wanting to be in the NHL and wanting to play there.
Sure.
Right.
So, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake, and it's very high pressure, and it's very high pressure in a city like this, where all eyes are on it all the time. And from the media and a fan perspective, it's, and you're on the doorstep the last couple of years, and it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, and don't forget, it's a lot of pressure on guys who are just going home to, maybe they're trying to have a baby but can't, or someone like Vasily signs a contract one day, his dad passes away that night.
Yeah.
And like, he just got hit by a freight train. Like, not his dad, I mean, like,
No.
emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
it's like such a range of emotions.
Think
Like
about
one of the biggest moments of your life. You're so proud of your parents. You're hearing your parents say, "Oh my God, son, we're super proud of you. It's amazing." And then literally 24 hours later, you're on a plane to Russia.
he's got a
because your
brother who
father-
I think is like 18.
No,
Like,
younger. I met his
7,
brother here
right,
at the game. His
yeah.
brother was 15.
15,
And
yeah,
he
right.
was so excited because it was his first time seeing him since he got drafted in 2019 in Canada. Had never come. And so I remember Vasily during the Stanley Cup final, we talked, and like he was such a proud big brother. Like that was the greatest part of him, was that his brother was there, and like his parents stayed in a hotel room. His brother stayed with him, right? Like he was just like, he thought it was the greatest. And so when I heard about his father passing, I'm just thinking, like, here's a guy now who clearly you want to look out for your brother, but you know that dad's there and dad can help him. And not that mom can't, but like that's going to be a lot now to think about. So who knows, like, is he going to move his family here? Because that's a big thing now, where you're an older brother and suddenly you're, quote, the man of the house, but you're the man of the house living in Edmonton, where the house is in Russia.
Yes. And on Wednesday, October 8th, if he's in the lineup, you know, there's how many people watch him? Clear the puck, Vasily. Kill the penalty. Go to the net. Like he's dealing with a lot, and it's part of your life.
How much of in your job is to really know everything that's going on with the players? How do you uncover that so you can be aware, you know, maybe today's not a day, like this guy's not available, whatever, he had a meeting, you know, you can find ways to get out. Like, how important is that to know the goings on of the player?
Well, I don't.
Or is that the manager comes to you and says, "Hey, this is happening"?
Yeah. I mean, we found out very early in the morning, because Vasily's another very early arrival at the rink and stuff, that, you know, hey, this has happened. But no, again, I'm not a counselor.
Well,
I mean, I can be if they want me to be that. I'm happy
not
to
to
be
talk
that.
to them, but more so to understand the whole situation.
Yeah, I don't admittedly, I don't check in with the players on, and I try not to be around the, you know what I mean? I come in when I need to do my job, and then, you know, and occasionally, you know, hang around and chat, like you know, shooting it with Nuge and stuff, and you know,
Like, are you allowed to be in the fantasy football league?
No, I'm not in the fantasy. I mean, there's a pool. Like the pick'em pool, but you know, I watch these games. I think I would have. I just, trust me. I've worked in sports almost 30 years. I couldn't pick an NFL pool like to save my life again. Like, seriously, picking a tie yesterday.
Yeah.
Like you're taking.
Well, yeah. If you're picking the loser point there, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would. I mean, okay. I mean, I know a lot about the game, you know, and all that, but I just. It's such a.
There's a reason that. People don't make a living.
Yeah.
Well, some do.
They keep building hotels. They don't build it on winners. That's what I say. See all those shiny lights? It ain't from the winners.
It's very true.
Yes.
Lastly, quickly. So when you go around a season like that, and obviously we got a lot of texts, and I wanted to save this till the end because we knew how to talk about it. But the whole Connor contract, obviously in Edmonton, it's a big story.
Sure.
And until because there's really only two ways it goes. He signs a contract, he doesn't sign a contract. Like, there's no other option. Those are the only two options. But is it not a big deal for you, or because you have to be like, I get it every day. Someone's like, "Hey, how's everything, Greg? Hear anything on McDavid?" Like, people, I get why fans care. It's like,
sure,
you know, he's their favorite player or one of their favorite players, and he's obviously a major part of the team.
Yeah.
How do you have to address that, or are you just like, you know what, we've addressed it enough, I don't worry about it now?
It's
will it be more on the road because it's a new city every time?
Well, okay, a couple of things. First, it's like the weather. I can't control the weather. I can't. I mean, it has nothing to do with me. So I try to take down the temperature for him. So we're not going to do it every day. And even last night's game, guys are asking, "Hey, you think we do Connor tomorrow?" I was like, "No, I don't think that's necessary." Well, we got some season preview stuff. Well, let me just check my watch here. We have 2 more preseason games in 3 days when we come back. I think we can get a preview done, you know, in a week. So no, it's not necessary to drag him out. And so, I mean, Connor doesn't know a fraction of the things I say no to, in a nice way. But, and again, you know, I'm not going to stand up on the table and tell you all the things I don't do, but sure, it's on my mind. It's on everyone's mind. And it's important. It's our world, not he's our world. I mean, that's our world.
Yeah.
Sure, it's on our mind and stuff, but I have no control over that. So it will be one or the other. And, but again, I don't know anything that I don't
You don't
ask
know what
questions.
you don't know.
I don't ask
There you
questions.
go.
Keep my head down and we'll go. And
For people listening,
yeah.
And if you could give them any advice, if they wanted to get into in a communications role, and then obviously it's it's not going to be the first job, right? Like Andrew Peard works with you, and there's lots of there's Oil Kings, like there's lots of different elements. Like you got to work your way up, right? You don't just first job is going to be I'm a director of communications for an NHL team. Like it's not how it works. But do you have any advice for people who look at that job and be like, man, that like you're kind of on the inside, you're just what's going on, but you don't always know what's going on. What's your advice on what are the requirements to be good at the job and how to get into the job?
Well, am I good at the job? I don't know. You tell me.
The Dick Dillman Award, is it 3 times?
3 times in 5 years. But who's counting?
Yeah, that's for best communications team
in the Western Conference. Yes.
Oh, is it in the West?
There's a West and an East. Yeah.
So I didn't know. I thought it was just the whole league.
Well,
I mean, well, that's not as impressive. All of a sudden.
I can't take ownership of the league. I mean, we dominate in so many other categories. I think it does. I don't think it should apply to any job. I think not just come in and stay. I sense of urgency, care about what you're doing. I don't like the word passion, but of course I love sports. Of course I love, I love this life. I get up early each morning and I say, I get to go and I have to go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's not easy. There's not a lot of people who get to say, I get to go to work today. I do.
Yeah.
And I realize that, and I never take it for granted, but I think that you have to be attentive of what you do. You have to put care and attention into what you do. Everything we do is a calling card across the league, whether it's our training camp guide or how we present things or how we travel or, and again, how do you get into this? How do you get into this job? I think I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to volunteer, show a passion, for just wanting to get your foot in the door, be outgoing, get off your phone, listen, don't talk. I do a lot of listening and I ask a lot of questions. There's some things on the horizon that we may or may not have to deal with, but I talked to Mark about those things today. I talked to Ryan about those things today. And how much of an appetite are we going to have to satisfy here to talk about things that have nothing to do with us? And it's planning ahead. So you got to have a sort of a very short range view of what's going on day to day and a long range view. And you have to sort of toggle between those. For my job, sure, the ability to write, although that's getting sort of more and more kind of skewed. If you want to work, as a web writer or something like that, you better have some people skills.
Yeah.
And sometimes a thick skin and the ability to work with others, and you better respect what other people do. I don't care if it's Jeff Lang and Brad Harrison and Shane Olmstead, who spend hours upon hours in dressing rooms and equipment and doing it in the middle of the night on a back-to-back, and respect what other people do. Don't ever say that's not my job. I've pushed equipment into the room and to help those guys out because I want to go for beers after. Let's get going. So don't be afraid. Don't say no to things. Try anything. But like I said, it ain't luck. The timing might be fortunate for an opportunity.
People, if you have a good job
Sure.
out there, you got lucky. Maybe you had some good timing. Sure.
I mean, I know it's cliche, but
skilled.
the harder I work, the luckier I get. Guys say that all the time, and it's true. I mean,
well, in any walk of life, I've found the people that are the hardest workers. And hard work can be a different definition for every type of job.
Absolutely.
So it's not just always physical, right? Sometimes you might have to work on your presentation. And, I suppose we had a guest speaker on talk about how, for them, they practiced. We had Gama Singh. I don't know if you're ever a Stampede Wrestling fan. We had Gama Singh in studio. And
Yes, of course.
And he talked about how Roddy Piper said,
Having a big party, Ed.
yeah, you got to get better on the mic. And so he
Yes.
practiced in front of a mirror
Sure.
at home over and over. And that's how he got better at it. And this was a guy who came to Canada at 9 and didn't speak a word of English. Right. And so, there's lots of different ways to quote work hard. It's not all physical by any stretch.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think work hard, but work smart. That is, working smart is very vital on, is doing this going to help me long term? If it is, even if I don't like it, I do it. Right. And after a
Yeah.
while, you're like, if I keep doing this thing, but it really has no benefit to me long term, why am I doing it in my job? You have to figure those things out.
And ask questions. I mean, I've probably done, I don't know, maybe half a dozen things where someone's like, hey, go to the, it's a school in the States. Typically out East, there's a lot of communications and sports management jobs. So they'll interview me and I'll just talk about this kind of stuff. And some people have gotten jobs, not because of me, but because I've seen their advancement through whatever on LinkedIn or something like that they've gotten a job. I think, oh, that's cool. I can't talk to that person. But I ask a lot of questions. I had like a 10-minute conversation today with Lazar. His wife's got a business degree from UBC Okanagan.
Yeah, you want to get to know some
100%. I think I love asking guys questions. I love knowing what other people do. I talk to the docs about, I know more about ACLs and stuff and how, things work than,
So Hyman will be back in November. Is that what you're telling us? For sure.
Again, I can speak to that, but he's doing very well.
He's doing well. Oh, that's good. Jamie, thanks so much for this. We really appreciate it. Got a lot of texts that people enjoying it. It's always, I like to go on and talk about different things at different times.
Yeah.
Enjoy the season and best of luck.
I appreciate it. Happy to come back.
Good luck
Thank
setting up signs over the next few weeks, because I'm sure you're doing that in your spare time.
Make sure you vote or don't complain.
Exactly. Oh, that's the number one rule. If you don't vote, you can't complain. I love it. We'll take a quick break. There's no complaining right now in Jays land. The Jays win the division, win the American League East for the first time since 2015. They actually got the number 1 seed, so they'll have a few days off. We'll talk about that. And is Bo Bichette going to play? Can Vladdy find his swing? All that and more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
I'm a little hungry.
I've got booster balls from Booster Juice.
Booster what now?
Booster balls. They're little protein bites packed with nutrients, chewy, crunchy, yummy, and new flavors all the time. Like this little guy, the new mint chocolate booster ball, peppermint cocoa, coconut, peanut butter, maple syrup, all rolled up into a delightful little bite-sized snack.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
I don't know.
Can I have one?
No.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Work never gets done by standing around. You have to put your words into action. And that's exactly what GS Construction does every single day. Our priorities are safety first, quality second, efficiency third. GS Construction works hard. It's true. But first comes the care, the planning, and the people. Underground infrastructure isn't just about machines and trenches and some traffic inconveniences. It's about doing things right. Find out more on what we do. Visit gsconstruction.ca.
Groceries, mortgage payments, family holidays, a new car. That's what profit shares look like for Vision Credit Union members. Each year, we return about 75% of our profits, $35 million last year, to the people who bank with us. Because at Vision Credit Union, when you're an owner, you get your share. Why not get yours? Learn how at whatsyourshare.ca. That's whatsyourshare.ca.
It's not about calendars or even thermometers. At Sherwood Honda, summer doesn't end till you take your foot off the gas. There's still so much driving to do, and not just the obligations. Beach days, getaways, just out cruising for fun? Sherwood Honda has fuel-efficient, dependable SUVs, hybrids, and crossovers to keep summer rolling till you're ready to put it in park. So if you still want summer, you sure would find your key to some more at Sherwood Honda.
Groceries, mortgage payments, family holidays, a new car. That's what profit shares look like for Vision Credit Union members. Each year, we return about 75% of our profits, $35 million last year, to the people who bank with us. Because at Vision Credit Union, when you're an owner, you get your share. Why not get yours? Learn how at whatsyourshare.ca. That's whatsyourshare.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at sherbrooke.liquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Big thanks again to Jamie Cartmill, giving us a little bit more time than expected. That was awesome. We got a lot of texts from people. Always like to do things a little bit different. You learn a different side of things. You kind of get some behind-the-scenes intel into the Edmonton Oilers and their players and everything that goes on. And, the conduit, which I've always thought it was the media. And you know what? If I always say, if every fan likes you, you're probably not doing your job well. That's just how it goes, right? Especially as a talk show host, as a columnist. If you agree with someone every time, it's pretty rare, right? It's pretty rare. And so if you disagree with someone, but you keep reading them or keep listening to them, that's a pretty good thing, the way I look at it. So they don't have to love you, but they respect you. That's good enough. So thanks for JC for coming in. 3:29. Let's get to our MLB report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where their rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. And the Toronto Blue Jays, they just made it a little exciting. They look to be in the driver's seat, got it down. Now they're tied entering the final weekend, and they go hit for hit with the Yankees, even though they weren't playing them. They won their way in. There was nothing the Yankees could do, and now they will get essentially this weekdays off today all the way through until Friday. Then they'll open up on Saturday against either the Yankees or the Boston Red Sox, and they'll start that best of three series tomorrow night in New York, as Mike Wilner joins us from the Toronto Star and the Deep Left Field podcast. And Mike, obviously we saw the celebration in Toronto. It's been a decade since they won the pennant. It's a little bit of dramatic fashion for sure, needing a win, add some drama. And to me, it was fitting that Lauer was on the mound getting the last out, as he was just another one of those kind of unsung hero guys all year long that played a big role. The Jays had a lot of guys contribute to them winning 94 games and the pennant.
Yeah, I thought it was, that's sort of the romance of baseball, right? The poetry of it, that a guy like Eric Lauer, who nobody expected anything from, nobody even talked to him in spring training, barely knew who he was. I did, because I've had him on my geek baseball team a couple of years ago. But, here's a guy who did not pitch in the majors last year because he couldn't make it. He was released by Houston and Pittsburgh out of AAA and had to go to Korea for a couple of months, and then comes up at the end of April, legitimately saves the Blue Jays season. And he's the guy who gets to record the final out. It was wonderful.
Yeah. You look at this Jays team and heading in, if you had to pick right now, Mike, this is you, not saying what the team's going to do. What rotation would you go with your pitching in that series?
Well, I don't know who we don't know who they're going to play yet. So that might weigh into it, but okay. I think for me, it's got to be Shane Bieber in game 1 and Kevin Gausman in game 2. And then sort of figure it out from there, whether it's Chris Bassett or Max Scherzer or Trey Savage, how you're going to run those guys out. Whoever starts game 1 can also pitch game 5, but you need 3 other starters. And I would say it's going to be very, very difficult for them to not give Max Scherzer a start, but it's also going to be difficult to not give Chris Bassett a start if he's healthy. So I think it's going to depend on what happens after the first 2 games. But my top 3 at this point, as wild as it is to say, would be Bieber, Gausman, and the 22-year-old who's made 3 big league starts in Savage.
Well, man, he's just like, that guy's come in as a youngster and has been phenomenal. Just with the, the pressure at times, I thought he's been good. Also has really been good. Like even going back to that Dodger game, Mike Flaherty, he's had some of the biggest strikeouts timely strikeouts that I can think of in any Jays pitcher this season.
I mean, there's some recency bias in there too. There are a lot of Blue Jays relievers who have had a lot of huge outings in huge situations. Braden Fisher, probably chief among them, among the unexpected. Flaherty got a massive strikeout yesterday, and he got him, working out of that Jeff Hoffman jam in LA against the Dodgers, striking out Shohei Ohtani and then getting Mookie Betts. That was outstanding. And this guy, remember, in the first month of his major league career, he pitched 7 perfect innings out of the bullpen. He retired 21 in a row, but then I think he had a month where his ERA was about 11. So it's the ups and downs of a young pitcher, but Mason Fluharty absolutely stepped up yesterday, no question.
Do you see what's going to be kind of like the biggest decisions for the playoff roster in round 1? Now, obviously, I know it's going to depend on who they're pitching, who they're playing, because of certain, do they need another lefty bat here or whatever? But do you see, what do you envision, Mike, as potentially being the toughest decisions for this, for John Schneider and his staff?
First of all, nothing to do with John Schneider and his staff. All that stuff.
It's all from really.
Above. Oh, 100%. Yeah. There's no. John Schneider will make suggestions.
Right.
I'm sure. But no, it's 100% Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro and their assistants. And as far as determining who's on the roster and what the order of the starting rotation will be, it's been a very, very, very long time since a manager has had that kind of autonomy. But given that, the biggest decisions for Ross and Mark and their crew, whether to have Anthony Santander on the playoff roster. Although I don't quite know what the alternative is unless Bo Bichette is ready to go. And if Bo Bichette is ready to go, and that is a huge if for the division series, who do you take off? Santander just got back from 4 months of rehabbing from a shoulder thing, and he went 1 for 10 with 6 strikeouts. So is his potential and his pedigree enough to put him on the playoff roster over, say, a Joey Loperfido, who they have had trouble finding a use for over the past 3 weeks, but who's more versatile defensively, better speed, and who has hit more lately. So on the position player side, that's the big one. On the pitching side, is Chris Bassett healthy enough to go? And if he is, you don't need 5 starters.
Right.
So are you taking Bassett? Are you taking Scherzer? Are you dropping one of them? Can you not take Max Scherzer? Is that even there's reason to be scared of Max Scherzer. He's a scary guy, and he's a Hall of Famer. Can you leave him off the roster? I don't know. Those are the big decisions as far as I can see so far.
So, Mike, where do you come out on that? So you have a manager. He's essentially the coach, right? Like, you're in the room, you have a really good feel of your players, I would think. Like in a lot of other sports, the coach decides the lineup. Now, the GM will talk to him about things, but at the end of the day, he's like, here's your roster, you pick it. Do you like that decision, or do you think that the manager and even the pitching coach, they should have a pretty big say? I would think being there every day, they might have a better in tune with what's going on in their inside their dressing room.
Yeah, they might. And they probably do. Although, the front office is there every day too, just not at that, deep in the trenches level. But I'm of two minds about this. I mean, if you're putting this team together, if your job is to get the players who play, why would you put a team together and then just tell somebody, okay, you know what, here, you figure it out? I don't love the micromanaging and the meddling and the trying to gain every possible potential edge and ignoring the human stuff. If this move is going to give you a 0.03 greater % chance of winning, or if you think, I don't love that stuff.
Okay.
I don't love what they did with Jose Barrios and Minnesota in 23 and getting too cute and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I do think the more information, the better. And I do think that, if the person whose job it is to put the team together should have a pretty big say in how that team is run.
God, yeah, I would think so. And I have to think, Mike, do you envision any way that Barrios isn't going to be he's not going to play, is he?
He's hurt.
Yeah.
So no, he's out. Yeah.
You mentioned Bo Bichette And this is like, I think the Jays miss him. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but man, maybe Vladdy Guerrero just misses him around. I don't know. But what's the latest you have on Bichette? And if you had to put, a percentage of chance that he's in the lineup for game one, what do you put it at?
Well, if you listen to Deep Left Field, the wonderful podcast that I put together all the time and usually every week, but way more often lately, Bo Bichette is on the current episode, the one that dropped last night. So go find Deep Left Field and go listen to Bo yourself, and you'll hear from him. He didn't say one way or the other, but he didn't really sound like someone who was very confident that he was going to be back. I mean, Andres Jimenez had a similar injury to Bichette, a knee sprain he had an ankle sprain back in July. He missed just over 5 weeks.
Okay.
Bichette's been out since September 6th.
Yeah.
So it's been just over 3 weeks. I think it's really like, I think there's a possibility that he comes back, that, with the knee, they're not going to be crazy worried about whether he can move laterally, because they'll take him back just to be a DH, even if he can't play the field, because the bat is so good.
Yes.
But I would put it for this round is probably 20% or less that he's available.
Yeah, and that was my question. In your conversation, when you've talked to him, or even when you watch him, batting and fielding, guys, like, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Like, I don't know if he could just be a great DH when he just sits there and never plays field, because when you play field, you just stay in the game more. His bat is great. Obviously, you look at how many hits he's had. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. There's no question. He was leading in doubles before he got injured. I think he finally got past, but he's been out for 3 weeks and he was still leading everybody in hits in the American League. Do you think he could be as effective as the plate without playing the field?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. No question. This guy was born to hit. And I understand what you're saying as far as, some guys feel like they're not really in the game when they're DHing, but he's been sitting and watching for 3 weeks. He is dying to do anything. I wouldn't put it past him to just be in there DHing and being, an incredibly slow base runner, but you'll take it for what he gives you.
Okay. Well, and that's fair because his bat is very good. So now I want to and so you're going to have two scenarios to answer this question, Mike. Your top four batting order in game one, if Bichette is just available. So you can have him as your DH, you can have him in the field, whatever you think is realistic. And then who would be your top four hitters for the Jays? And assuming he's available to hit.
Who's pitching for the other guys?
Yankees, we'll go with their best starter, whose name is escaping me, right? Fried. Let's say it's Fried, for instance.
Fried's pitching tomorrow, so he can't. I mean, they're the beautiful thing, part of getting that bye, right?
Yeah.
Is that both the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to pitch their ace tomorrow in game one, Fried and Garrett Crochet.
So they're both in game two.
Till game two.
Yeah, okay.
Of the first. But if it's a left-hander that they're facing, if it's Carlos Rodon for the Yankees, I guess, then you would go Springer, Davis Schneider, Vladdy, Bo. And if it's a righty, Brian Bayo maybe from Boston, then you go Springer, Lucas, Vladdy, Bo. That's the top four.
Yeah. Well, I think they've announced Rodon's pitching in game two, I think. So,
he's out too.
Yeah. So he's out too. Right. And I think they have it listed. I think they might even listed that Schlittler is in game three. Now, obviously they have to get to a game three. So I would look and say, well, if Schlittler's game three and he doesn't go game three, I think he might be the guy in game one. But the Jays, when you look at Varsho and the season he had, despite his injuries, especially at the plate and defensively, it's unreal what he does. Who do you think, with all the options, is the best second baseman defensively for the Jays?
Andres Jimenez.
Okay.
But he's playing shortstop.
Right.
Well, both, because he's probably also the best shortstop.
Yeah, defensively. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So then it becomes Ernie Clement, who's your best defensive second baseman. And that's who they've, for the most part, been running out there. But if you have that scenario where you're facing a left-hander and Davis Schneider is playing, he plays second, then Ernie would play third, and Addison Barger is probably sitting. But that's, this versatility and the flexibility of what they've been able to do specifically with Barger and Clement and Schneider, and to a lesser extent, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, is a lot of the reason why they've been able to do what they've done.
Give me, who do you like in that Yankees-Red Sox series?
I mean, it's baseball, right? Flip a coin. The Yankees have won 8 straight. They're super hot right now. I think they finished the season like 26-8 in their last 34 games or something stupid like that. But again, baseball is the toughest game to predict because, like football, if you have a great team at home, they're going to win 80% of the time. Baseball, they're going to win 60% of the time, unless you're the Blue Jays, who won closer to 70% of the time at home, but that's a huge anomaly. Anything can happen in one game, and in a best of 3, who knows? Like, you don't have to be the better team to win a best of 3. So I think it's just foolish to try to make predictions with any kind of certainty about who's going to win a first-round playoff series. But hopefully it'll be great. I mean, it's the Yankees and Red Sox, and one of them's going to knock the other one out, and we know they can't stand each other. And hopefully it goes 3 games, and the third game goes 20 innings, and nobody's got anything left by the time they get to Toronto.
Well, we will see. I love playoffs in any sport. Baseball is unique in the sense that, like, every at bat, you're kind of on the edge of your seat because maybe it's a home run, maybe it's a big strikeout. Like, I love playoff baseball, and I can't wait for the games to start. I was in Toronto for some games in late August. The atmosphere there is obviously great, and I can just imagine what the building is going to be like on Saturday. I want to get your last thoughts on Vladdy Guerrero, because man, he's struggled to even like get the ball out of the infield, Mike, and we know he's capable of more. What do you see as like what's got to change? Because I think for the Jays, if they want to win, they're going to need more from Vladdy offensive.
I mean, they won 4 in a row to get to the playoffs without him. So, the story of this team has been everybody gets something. But I agree to the extent that I don't think your best players need to be your best players in the playoffs, but they can't be your worst players, because then you're in a lot of trouble. And you're right. Vladdy got the ball out of the infield once between Tuesday and yesterday. But then yesterday he comes up in the first inning, they're losing, and there's runners at first and second and nobody out. And I put it out on Blue Sky. I said, this would be a great time for Vladdy to shut a whole bunch of people up. And he hit a line drive to right field. Didn't try to do too much. Didn't try to pull a ball on the outside corner and hit it 700 feet and wind up grounding into a double play. He did exactly what was needed in that situation, and he drove in the run. And to me, that was a great sign. And in the game in Kansas City, when they clinched a playoff spot, that's like his 1 extra base hit in 2 weeks. But anywhere else, it's a 3-run homer. He crushed a double off the wall in left center in a brutal hitter's park in Kansas City. So it's in there. And Vladdy, like John Schneider says, is always just one swing away. The issue I have, and I think it has to do with A, that he's so young, and 2, that he's never been on a team that's won a playoff game, is that he puts so much on himself in big spots.
Yeah.
And I think he's learning to let that go a little bit. And that will be incredibly helpful to him. I really hope for his sake and for a lot of the sake of his critics that he goes off in these playoffs. But I don't think he needs to hit like 6 homers.
No.
I think he just needs to help. And he wasn't helping this last week until that first at bat on Sunday. And I can't see that lasting much too long.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. Just, I think one big power drive from him it could be a double, whatever, it could be a hard hit single that's laced. Once he gets one, he always seems to be a guy that it'll probably just relieve the pressure. Cause I think he looks like someone, and you know him better, that he seems to be taking all that pressure on himself. And it's hard to relax in the playoffs. I get it. It's understandable. So, but if he does, especially against the Yankees, like, hey, beating Tampa Bay is one thing, beating the Yankees, will be another one. The Jays are definitely more than capable of doing it. And whether it's them or the Red Sox should be a hell of a series. Thanks for this, Mike. We'll talk to you again. Enjoy the lead up to game 1 on Saturday. Should be fun.
All right. Thanks very much.
That's Mike Wilner on the Deep Left Field podcast. Great. Hey, I got to go tune in. I didn't even know he had Bo on the pod. So that'll be great. It'll be something to listen to on the way home. We'll take a quick break. We'll return. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We got Vanessa Hettinger, Cam Tate, and more on the Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes, call Legacy. Call Legacy. For furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
When you have lifting and material handling needs, Northwest Crane delivers. Western Canada's Sandy dealer, backed by the industry's toughest one. 3 years, 3,000 hours, no compromises. They service all crane makes and models with skilled technicians and deep industry expertise. Alberta owned with locations in Leduc and Grand Prairie and fully equipped service trucks. Northwest Crane keeps your operation lifting. For more information on sales or service, visit northwestcrane.com or call today.
Ah, Hawaii. The warmth of a golden sunset as the waves roll in. The freshness of a waterfall. The lush scent of tropical flowers in the air. You don't need to travel to enjoy all Hawaii has to offer. You just need to order pizza. Bring Hawaii home with the Aloha Trio, available for a limited time at Papa John's. Try our classic Hawaiian, Super Hawaiian, or Hawaiian barbecue chicken for just $19.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Need the perfect ride? The Golf Cart people have it. They offer a wide selection of new and used models from top brands like Club Car, Yamaha, and E-Z-Go. Whether it's a lifted cart for adventure or a sleek ride for the course, they'll find your match. Customize with accessories or choose a ready-to-go option. Trusted by Albertans since 1997 for quality. Visit golfcartpeople.com to find your cart and hit the road or fairway your way.
Bus.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Enjoy a taste of Hawaii with Papa John's Aloha Trio. Try the classic Hawaiian, Super Hawaiian, or Hawaiian barbecue chicken pizzas for only $19.99 each at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.350. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's a busy Monday. Lots going on. Double header in Monday Night Football tonight. Then tomorrow, man, it'll be everything. You got 4 playoff games in baseball. And if you are a baseball junkie, first pitch will be just after 11 in the morning Edmonton time for the first game, Detroit and Cleveland. And then the first pitch of the final game will be at 7 p.m. So think of it's probably going to be 11 straight hours. Well, maybe with a little bit of a break in between, but not much because the Cleveland-Detroit game starts at 11:08 our time. The San Diego Cubs game starts at 1:08 our time. Boston, New York will get going at 4:08 our time, and then 7:08. So pretty, if there's any downtime, it won't be much. So baseball fans, you could be loving it all day long. Tomorrow we'll be updating you throughout the day tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday if necessary. Hopefully a few of those series go the distance in 3 games. Now, let's talk a little hockey. Of course, many people have had a chance to go through training camp with their kids. Now they're skating, and skating is something that's, I would argue, probably the most important part of hockey. Now you got to have a brain. You got to be able to think, but you could be the smartest person on the ice. If you can't get from A to B, it makes it rather challenging. And from 01 Hockeyology, Vanessa Hettinger, long-time coach, as a skating coach, has coached pro players, junior players, all over, men and women. And Vanessa joins us once again on the show. Vanessa, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Jason. Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you. You have so many players, and I always like to talk, kind of about, the minor hockey, because that's where the vast majority of kids are nowadays. And you look at kind of skating, and do you have any tips on things that are to do during a season that can help kids always improve or sharpen their skating skills? Is there like some basic, and I know it's hard to be generic because somebody might have a different stride than someone else. I understand all that, but are there any basics that get overlooked that we should be doing as coaches with our kids throughout the season?
Definitely. Actually, it's good timing. We just had a coaching course a couple weeks ago and had some really, really great participants in there, and minor hockey coaches who are looking to, basically the theme was, how do we integrate skating development into a practice plan? And I'd say, like, simple is better and consistency is great. So when something's consistent, then the kids start to understand it. They can feel themselves getting better at it. And it's really important to just do some fundamental things that you can build on over the course of the year. And what's important about skating development is it's part of the practice that's different from the rest of the practice. So the rest of the practice is really focused often on drills. And skating development doesn't have to be around a drill. It can be around what we would call like a circuit or a never-ending drill or sequence training. And the point of that is to get really, really quality repetition and a lot of time for the coach to give error detection and correction. And that's what's really going to improve your player skating. So instead of trying to do a different skill every single week, I would say there's 3 or 4 things that you should do the same every single time the kids are on the ice, and it becomes their warm-up. I used to work with this guy named Dan Ockenberg. I'm sure you know him.
Oh, I know Dan, yeah.
Dan is fantastic. And so we used to work at Don in school, like way long time ago, and he was always the coach for the grades 4 to 6. And it was really impressive. And I learned a lot from him because those kids would get on the ice, and of course they're walking over from school, and it's winter time in Edmonton. So everybody's kind of getting there at different times. And every kid would get on the ice and they would do what he called the sequences. And so they would do these skating sequences around their gloves, and then they do some stick handling exercises, and then they do some passing, and they were responsible for finding a partner for doing this, and they just knew what to do. And it was so impressive because all the way from grades 4 to 6, these kids always did their sequences, and these players did really, really well coming out of that. So I would work on the more advanced kind of skills, but I knew that they were getting their fundamentals already every single time they hit the ice with Dan.
Yeah, it makes sense. I learned that a few years ago in coaching. I think, you got to bring something new. You feel like, geez, I got to bring something new. And then they're never really understanding something. And the great analogy I was taught was, well, when your kids were little, they always liked reading the same book. Why? Because they knew what happened and it made them feel smart and they looked forward to it and they loved it and they could read the same book. And sometimes parents are like, oh my God, I got to read the same book. Here comes the blue truck. Like, oh my goodness, you can read it. But that's why they like it. And so in hockey, right, you, and then obviously then you can, change and add in something, right? You can do a line shoot and then suddenly, okay, now stop at the net, right? Mm-hmm. Stop left, stop right, try to deflect the next shot. So there's different elements of it, but getting that same thing. And even, and it's funny because when I watch that, then I go, and this is at the NHL level, the best of the world. Guess what? They pretty much do the same thing every time to start every practice. And that's when I realized, I'm like, and these guys practice way more than any minor team, at least they should anyway. Minors shouldn't be playing more on the ice than NHL players. That's just my own thought. But I think why it makes a big difference. Now, you guys are coming up at 01 Hockeyology. Your first anniversary comes up this weekend, and you guys have small rinks, and it illustrates. That's why I chuckle when people still don't like half ice for U9 and U7, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like you need small area games to get better at. What have you learned in the first year? And you've been coaching for a long time, of course, but this was a little bit of a different concept. What's been the thing that you feel you've learned the most in year one at Hockeyology?
Well, it has been so much fun and such a steep learning curve in terms of having the opportunity just on a broad scale to work with emergency room doctors and physiotherapists and people from different backgrounds and really start to talk about what's best for the athlete and how do we get these people to their highest potential. And it's such an exciting place to work because everybody's asking the same question and we're coming to new conclusions and innovating in new ways. I think in the hockey way, what's been really, really neat to see is the learning curve of how do you provide skating development, like hockey development in a membership model. And we found that it does work. And the nonlinear idea where kids can choose a class. So they don't have to do the same class every single week for like 20 weeks in a row. They can actually come in and they can choose, I want to be on the skate mill, or I want to be in the gym, or I want to be on the true movement platforms. And just that ability for a young athlete to choose and to have the accessibility to things that they want to be doing means that they're coming more often and they're getting so much better. So one of the most rewarding things of all this learning is hearing after tryouts that there's this young lady, she is incredible. She had never played hockey before. She said to her mom, I want to join this place. So they joined as part of our founders club and she went to play this year and she went through tryouts and she ended up in tier 2. Like, how amazing. And she's never even played structured hockey before. So I think the learning curve was steep, but it's showing that it's working and we're only going to get better from here.
Vanessa Hettinger joins us. The concepts of skating, because you've been around doing, and I don't want to age you here, but this is a compliment. You've been around so long and things have changed so much. What do you think, Vanessa, has maybe been your biggest change in philosophy in coaching skating?
That's a great question. I think learning about facilitation through the Coaching Association of Canada was very, very helpful in terms of how I represent myself in business and in coaching now. So the idea of facilitating an athlete to an outcome as opposed to telling someone what they have to do is I think it just works way better. It's way more enjoyable. And especially at the high end and players who have seen a lot of skating development people in their lives, they want to tell you what they want. And just being able to facilitate an outcome has been incredible. And I think it's changed all of our sessions in a very positive way in terms of how do you allow players to have advocacy and agency in their own development and not just be told what to do all the time.
Yeah, well, it's funny, right? Because eventually they've got to learn it and do the different things. It's different because what a U9 skater is capable of and a U15 skater is capable of it, and there's a progress. And the other thing is everything's very different, right? Because I'm sure you have kids, whether it could be in the own family, and somebody just picks up something better. But like inside, outside edges, Vanessa, now maybe you've taught it right from the get-go, but that was not like, and to age myself here, that was never even mentioned when we grew up to play. And using the inside edge seems like I figure skated, so I knew how to use it in figure skating, but not in hockey skates. They're obviously they're cut very different, and so you can use it. But learning it, obviously, I would assume it's easier at a young age. But is there like one or two best ways you feel to get kids comfortable using their inside edge?
Yeah, actually, I think the outside edge is the more challenging edge because it feels like you're going to fall. So the best way to work on an outside edge is actually assisted learning. So actually getting in there with a player and holding them with their stick or against the boards or in some way so that they can actually feel it. Because most players, if they were visual, we would all be amazing skaters. But most of us are actually kinesthetic and we have to actually feel it. So most of us don't understand what it feels like to actually curve off of an edge. And so helping a player to feel it and to gain the confidence in it, assisted learning or always using, like you can use video and use video playback to show a player what the edge is supposed to do and what they're doing. But the biggest line I would just say to players all the time is you don't have to turn your feet to turn. That's what your edges are for. Your edges turn you. So getting them to understand that and getting them to understand that it's actually your body position, your posture have that much more to do with speed and turns as opposed to just trying to stand on an edge.
So you don't have to turn your feet to turn.
No.
So is that more in your hips then?
Not really. It's more in just allowing yourself to tilt on your edges and feel your edge on a curve. So the edges are there to actually turn you. So what happens is when players turn their feet, it turns into what most people call like a punch turn or a jab step. Like
Right.
that's when you turn your feet. That's why it ends up being a stop. Whereas when you trust your edges and you lean over your edges, it's actually more about getting your center of gravity in the direction that you want to go next. And then that will bring your edges onto the correct part, whether that's the inside outside edge or the front or the back of the blade. And then the edge actually turns you.
I have people, and I don't know the answer to this at all, and I'm not sure. So if I'm putting you on the spot, my apologies. But Bob wonders, he always gets asked about 5/8, 1/2 for his kids skate. He has no idea. And they don't do it. Is it weight? What matters? And to find out what's the better bevel for a skate?
Yeah, it's in the end it's personal preference, but a good rule of thumb is to say that the lighter you are, the more edge you want to have so that the player can learn how to use the edge. So you want a sharper skate if you're a lighter player, and then a more dull skate, for lack of a better word, if you're a heavier player. But you want to make sure that it's not razor sharp, because when a player has a hard time stopping, often that's because their skates are too sharp. So a good rule of thumb to start is always 5/8. Like it's a good easy way to start. And if someone has a good grind or has a well sharpened skate, then they'll do very well. Like it's not it does impact performance, but it impacts performance more as players get better. At the youngest age groups, you just want to make sure it's a really quality sharpening and an even sharpening. And if it's that, then a player will be able to skate on that.
Vanessa Hettinger joins us from 01 Hockeyology. Celebrating 1 year. You guys got anything special coming up for the 1 year anniversary?
We do. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We're already to 1 year. So it's on Sunday, October the 5th. And we're offering free classes, actually. So a lot of people, I think, have the impression that we're like a private club and you can't come in. And we want to make sure everyone is welcome. So come on between 10 and 2. It's actually complimentary classes. And then from 2 to 5, we're going to have a member party. So that's to thank everybody who has been a member for the last year. And we'll have cake and we'll have all those things. But during the free classes, we'll have a lot of different opportunities to join up as a member or with a punch pass and extra little giveaways and prizes. Oh, we'll also have a Selly competition. That's going to be fun. And the winner of the Selly competition actually gets a free month's membership. So that's pretty cool.
All right. And because for people who don't know, the membership is you get to pick lots of different classes and you go into specific age groups, and you can be on ice, you can be off ice, you can work on skating, you can work on shooting, obviously in off ice training. The skate mill, I will say my son loved/hated the skate mill because he loved it because he really got a good workout, hated it because it was really hard.
Yeah.
Why is the skate mill so difficult?
It's very difficult because so there's 4 different classes that you can sign up if you're attending a skate mill class. So one of them is called Assess and Align, and that's where you get an HDTS report. It's like a 16-page report on your skating. So that one's not particularly hard. That one's more about gaining information about your baseline, where you're starting from. The second one is about stride technique. And when you're really working on stride technique and you're working on knee bend, your muscle is going to be sore. So that's good. So that's why that one's hard, and it takes some mental focus. The third one that's the hardest is actually power and conditioning, because the skate mills can incline or decline, and you can change the speeds. So the hard part for athletes is that they don't have control over when they can stop. So for example, I had a couple really high-end clients this summer that were like exactly the same as what you just said about your son. They said, I don't really want to, but I want to, because the number one thing I need this summer is conditioning. And I was like, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. So that just means often we'll do like a work to rest ratio. Say it's like 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. So players will always get tired at about 22 seconds, and they can't actually stop skating until 30 seconds. So that lack of control becomes very difficult. The 4th class is actually coordination and puck skills class, and that one players really like too. So that's where you can pass and shoot while you're skating on the skate mill.
Yeah, well, it is it is something that's hard to replicate on the ice. That's what makes it. That's what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
Well, Vanessa, always good to talk to you. Congratulations on a 1 year anniversary, and here's to many more at 01 Hockeyology. It's a great place to want to refine your skills and get better.
Thanks very much, Jason. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, have a great day. That is Vanessa Hettinger from 01 Hockeyology right here in West Edmonton Mall. And it is a wonderful facility for on and off ice. And, you can sign up for a membership, and it's really cost effective, and get your son or daughter. If there's very specific things that you want to work on, that's what's cool. Because sometimes, if you do like a camp or something, it's like, okay, we do all these things, but you're just like, you know what? I really want to work on a shot. So let's go in the shooting drills, and you can go in the shooting drills, and you can go in the shooting drills and really work on it and focus on it. It's pretty good. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire. And if you need tires, but your wallet isn't ready, guess what? At Fountain Tire, they've got you covered. 0% financing for 6 months or easy equal payments over 12, both with no interest. Because road ready should mean wallet ready. Learn more at fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers placing a goaltender Matt Calkins on waivers for purpose of assignment. The team's next action comes on Wednesday down in Seattle, taking on the Kraken. Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel's defenseman Dylan Sandberg will miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist. Sandberg, 26, appeared to suffer the injury in Saturday's game against the Flames. On the ice tonight, those Flames are in Seattle. You got the Ducks and the Sharks. Red Wings host the Penguins, Flyers in Boston, and the Islanders taking on the Rangers. Early on, out in Florida, Panthers and Hurricanes scoreless. In the NFL, Week 4 wraps up with a doubleheader. Jets in Miami taking on the Dolphins at 5:15. Then at 6:15, it's the Broncos taking on the Cincinnati Bengals at Mile High. Major League Baseball news: Bob Melvin is been terminated, no longer with the San Francisco Giants after an 81-81 season. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Twins moving on from Morocco Baldelli after the team missed the playoffs for the second straight season. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear Camp Drake's 2-minute warning, preview the Pacific Division goaltending with Kevin Woodley, and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Edmonton sports fans, stay informed with Sports 1440. Stream us. Listen to us on the AM dial. However you consume this radio station, thanks for listening.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy. Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can noodle at noodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order noodle at noodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order noodle.ca. Noodle.
Listen up, because you're not going to want to miss this. Right now is your chance to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
They sure saw you coming. You went in for about $200 in auto service, and by the time Johnny Slick out front was done telling you everything he thought you should have replaced, you got hosed for $3,000. Big Toy Shop won't lie to you, inflate your bill, or waste your time. You'll know exactly what your service actually costs and when it's going to be done. Take your ride to Big Toy Shop, 8315 Argyle Road, 780-298-2797.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips, we fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$4:13. Trying to get back on track here. We're a little bit all out of sorts. That's on me. We had some great guests. Ran a little bit long earlier today, but that's all right. We got a lot of good feedback. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our well inbox. Of course, the Oilers practicing today. Tomorrow, they'll fly a group who's ever playing in the game to Seattle on Wednesday. They'll come home. Then the other guys will skate Thursday. And then the final group, probably as close to the final roster as you'll get, will play in Vancouver on Friday. Then the Oilers, they got to submit their roster. I got to look. I think it's Sunday night or Monday. There are some options, and we can get into that throughout the week, looking at the Oilers, the salary cap implications. You always got to remember that. If it's a big if, Zach Hyman is on LTIR, is he going to be on IR? Right? Because they got to find out. Because if he goes on LTIR, then he's automatically out until November 1st, right? 24, I think it's 10 games, which they, is it 10? They got 12 games or 24. It's 10 games or 24 days, whatever the two, right? So I guess theoretically he could come back before October, or is it 10 and 24? I got to double check that now. No, second guessing myself. But either way, they got to find out. They don't want to put him on LTIR if they think there's a chance he can come off before that he meets those dates. Then if he does go on LTIR, there's some contract negotiations. So player like let's say Howard, for instance, they're like, well, we don't want to send him down for a day and then recall him because he has bonuses. And then if he's not on the opening day roster, then when you recall him, his bonuses count more. So there's always little nuances of it. So you might see, depending on how the salary cap works and what they're doing, you might see a guy who's sent down and people are like, oh my God, why'd they send him down? But you got to remember, it might be because they're going to place Hyman on LTIR the next day. You don't want to start the season the first day. Remember in the past, they had to do that when Clefbaum was hurt in the offseason and different things like that. So ideally, you'd like to be cap compliant for a day, and then you move a player to LTIR. It just it helps you. And then at the same time, you try to get as close to the cap before you put a player on LTIR. So you max the full LTIR. Now, it's a little bit different because Hyman's only going to be out a short term, so it's probably not as important as when it was last year, for instance, and a guy like Evander Kane, who you expected to be off all year long. So you wanted to maximize and get as much of the LTIR cap space as you could get. So those are all like the small little differences that go on this time of year leading up to it. And you'll see that with a lot of teams. Interesting, McTavish signed his big deal with Anaheim over the weekend, but Luke Hughes still doesn't have a contract. Evangelista in Nashville still doesn't have a contract. So there are some, I think, interesting cases to look for. And then obviously there's going to be the waiver wire. It's going to get flooded with lots of players here coming up in the next week. And I'm sure every day will be like, hey, you got to claim this guy. Well, remember, if a team claims one, then they're going to have to put one of their own players on waivers themselves. And so sometimes teams will try to do that like on a Tuesday or Wednesday because other teams like, well, geez, we got 24 guys. Now we're at a 25th. We're not even sure who we're going to send down. So sometimes you try to slide guys through. Sometimes some teams look to say, well, no, let's wait till the last minute because now all these teams have already submitted theirs and they know who they want to keep. So then they're less likely to, or they don't have room to keep our guy. So we'll see. Like Noah Philp, Regula, those are two options I could see as potentials. I don't know how high, to be honest. Right? Like Regula hasn't skated in 18 months. And remember, this is a new season. So Boston, if they put in a claim, they got to keep him on the roster. And usually most teams are kind of going in thinking they're going to keep 7 defensemen. So could you keep 8? Of course. You could do it, and you just keep 1 extra for it. Will a team keep 3 goalies? That's what I'll be watching for here for some teams like New Jersey, Boston. Will they try to maintain, a third goalie for a short period of time? So lots of that stuff to look forward to this week. The Elks have a bye week, so nothing going on there. They'll rest up, and then they'll take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a must-win game against the Blue Bombers next Saturday, the 11th of October, which could be a doubleheader day for Oilers and Elks fans. You got the 5 o'clock football game, and you have the 8 o'clock hockey game. You could do both. I wonder how many will try to slide in. That was a classic. I used to do it a few times in my lifetime. It was lots of fun back when we were younger, having a good time with some buddies. So I recommend it if you haven't done it to maybe try the doubleheader. It's a good day. It's a very good day. Let's get to the 2-minute warning. Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring. You get a hiring bonus. You get RSP matching. You get a very competitive wage. Get tuition reimbursement. Want to work for a fantastic company who loves sports? Great opportunities. Go to legacyheating.ca and apply today. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town, over 44 years. Cam was born with cerebral palsy, but has never let his disability stop him. He's been in a wheelchair. He's been a great writer. He's always wanted to be in radio. Now the wonders of technology allow Cam's words to come to life in the 2-minute warning.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we must do deep investigative work, not the kind that brings down governments, heavens no, but something far more perilous, something that requires more digging than the potholes on 109th Street. And what are we investigating? The curious case of the Edmonton Oil Kings, Saturday night in Calgary. I've got the official game sheet here. With 12 minutes left, yes, 12, the Oil Kings were up 3-2. A lead. Pay attention here, Gregor. A lead. On the road. In Calgary. Were the boys perhaps looking ahead to a pit stop at Peter's Drive-In on 16th Avenue? Ordering in their heads, "Coach, I'll take a double burger, onion rings, and..." Oh wait, was that my check assignment? Because, my friends, 4 goals arrived. 4. From the Calgary Hitmen. Like milkshakes arriving at the table before you've even unwrapped your straw. 3 at even strength, and 1 into the empty net. Final score, Hitmen 6, Oil Kings 3. Coach Jason Smith said just last week, third periods must be taken care of. Sacred minutes. You close the book. You lock the door. You don't leave the dishes in the sink. But Saturday? Oh, the sink was full of spaghetti. Now the Oil Kings head east. Regina on Wednesday, Moose Jaw Friday, Brandon Saturday. 3 Prairie Barns, 3 Prairie third periods. So let us keep an eye, and maybe 2, on that final frame. Because victory, like a good burger, is best when you finish it all. 2-minute warning weekdays. Gregor Halley, Tate Sports, 1440.
Yeah, that was a tough one for the Oil Kings. It's going to happen happens in the NHL. It happens in U7, U9. You know what? Things look good, and then boom, it can change. It can change quickly. So had some time off after starting 2-0, and they'll look to get back on track. I think Wednesday they are. Not I think. I know they start a road trip. They'll be in Regina on Wednesday, and then I think they're into Moose Jaw on Friday, and then continue on into Saskatchewan for probably a game on Saturday night. I don't have the whole schedule in front of me. I just know those are the next 2 games for the Oil Kings. We got a few texts flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Greg's, what do you think of Ike Howard's chances of making this team? Well, I think Ike Howard has done what you'd like to do in a training camp, is get stronger as it's gone. And because now you're entering game 7 of the preseason, where you're going to have more NHL players in the opposing team, just like you had, in game 8. And so that'll be a better test for him. But I think he's gotten better as camp goes on. He wasn't bad, but he's looking a little bit more comfortable, which is understandable. It's his first training camp. It's the first time playing against professionals It's not that easy. So I still think he has a ways to go, but I don't know if he can do it in the NHL, or do they just say, hey, you know what, let's go to the American League. I think if Zach Hyman was healthy, I think it'd probably be almost a no-brainer he's down there. But the injury to Zach Hyman opens up a roster spot. And for a young player who's playing well, I think they're going to look at it. These next 2 games, I think, will be a much better guide to see where he's at, where Savoy's at, some other players. Right now, Savoy has had a year of pro experience, so that'll help him, right? I think he's a better defensive player at this stage of their careers. He can be a guy that's used on the penalty kill. Howard's not going to be used on the penalty kill. So that's where I see it at. The other, we've had a lot of texts about Podkolzin. Podkolzin's returning home tomorrow, and he's not going to play on Wednesday. So it all depends on, how he's doing. It's, everybody deals with grief differently. But you know what? The harsh truth, and anyone out there who's lost a loved one can tell you that life goes on. The world keeps spinning around you. Everybody else's life goes on. Now, your life can be completely turned upside down. The loss of a father, a mother, sibling, a child, whoever it is that really deeply impacts you. But life just keeps going. And Podkolzin will, he has the opportunity to go out there. He'll think about his dad for sure, but I think he'll play on Friday, just because sometimes it's nice to just get in the game. When the game's on, he's not lining up on a face-off thinking about his dad passed away. At least I wouldn't think so. That's not really how it works. Now, would he be thinking about him maybe in the dressing room? Sure. Maybe even in warm-up, skates around, glances up. Oh, geez, I'm never going to see my dad in the crowd at a game anymore. Those things could pop into his head, no question. But usually when the game's on, now your focus, it's a little bit different. And that can be a little bit of an escape from the grief and the grieving for a while. So I would think he would probably play Friday, and then he'll go from there. Who knows how he'll react? I think everybody's different. Everybody grieves in their own way. I don't think there's any right or wrong way. How I grieved when I lost my father when I was 27 might be very different than how you grieve when you lost your father at 17, 27, 37, 57, who knows? So there's never a right way to do it. He'll have all the support he needs from his teammates and everybody else, and we'll see where he goes. But I think Podkolzin Friday will likely play, and obviously when he comes in, that's another spot that you are looking at the depth charts that gets filled, because make no mistake about it, Podkolzin's, I think, starting on in your top 9, no question. When Hyman comes back, he'll probably slide back together with Draisaitl, unless somebody gets off to a really good start themselves and can play the second line left wing spot. 426 will come back. You've been waiting for it. Kevin Woodley's Pacific Division goalie preview next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Yeah, can I get a...
yes. A common reaction from a veggie lover. Always scanning, searching, longing. But wait, what is this we see? The new McVeggie. Now at McDonald's.
And here comes Action Electrical Service Team sprinting onto the scene. These are your first responders for any electrical emergency.
That's right. With their fleet of service vans and specialized gear, they assess, they service, and maintain electrical lighting and automation systems. They're all about rapid response.
Quick diagnostics and repairs to restore power and safety fast. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
If you've got a smart speaker, get it to play Sports 1440.
And it doesn't matter when you listen as we roll out the Sports Talk
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Edmonton's home for sports radio is Sports 1440.
Ah, Hawaii. The warmth of a golden sunset as the waves roll in. The freshness of a waterfall. The lush scent of tropical flowers in the air. You don't need to travel to enjoy all Hawaii has to offer. You just need to order pizza. Bring Hawaii home with the Aloha Trio, available for a limited time at Papa John's. Try our classic Hawaiian, Super Hawaiian, or Hawaiian barbecue chicken for just $19.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We are inching closer and closer to another NHL regular season. We are 8 days away. Of course, next Tuesday is when the NHL will drop the puck on the 25-26 season. Of course, your Edmonton Oilers will begin their season next Wednesday against none other than the Calgary Flames. But there is 3 games next Tuesday. The Panthers will raise the banner, host in Chicago. The Rangers host the Penguins. The Kings host in the Avalanche. And then Wednesday, that'll be the doubleheader in Canada, Toronto, Montreal. The early game, it's 5 o'clock our time. And then at 8 o'clock, the Oilers and the Flames. Also Boston and Washington. And the Kings starting with back-to-back games as they will take on Vegas on Wednesday night. So no rest for the Kings. Some teams playing back-to-back early on. The Flames, I'm pretty sure, are also playing back-to-back because and Vegas. So it's quite a few. The Oilers don't have a back-to-back for a while. They have 2 home games, Wednesday, Saturday against the Canucks. Canucks, of course, will play the Flames one day after the Oilers play the Flames, and they'll play each other on Saturday, and then the Oilers will head out on a 5-game road trip. Now, let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And we got it delivered today. The new McVeggie Burger. So good. Except Connor. Cam Tate took Connor's. We love it. Tater, though, gave it a thumbs up. It's fantastic. So if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. Lots of veggies, lots of taste. The McVeggie right now at McDonald's, as Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Woodley, my man, how you doing?
I'm good, Jason. Yourself? About ready for some real hockey?
Oh, buddy, you know what? Only 5 days left of preseason for the Oilers. 2 more games, thank goodness. And I'm even more excited that this is the last preseason ever for fans, for media, for players. That there will be 6 to 8 games, only 4 more, or only maximum 4 moving forward, which would be awesome. So we've done the other 3 divisions today. We're going to focus on the Pacific Division. And for everybody, this isn't just save percentage and goals against average. Kev dibs in a little bit deeper on some of the other numbers. And we're going by goalie tandems. We start in the Pacific, and we will see who is the number 8.
Can I just have a quick timeout? And I should have sent you a note on this,
Sure.
Jason. That contract for Anthony Stolarz yesterday, do you remember when we did that division and I told you how good his numbers were?
Yeah, I know. It's like a bargain. I read that. I'm like, why? What's like, I compared that contract to Dustin Wolf, and it looks like, not that Wolf's a bad contract, but oh my God, Stolar's contract, like that is a unbelievable negotiation by Treliving.
It's, it's got to be games played, right? Like at the end of the day, he's yet to make it through a season, even half a year. But for the most part, it's been because he's been cast in backup roles. Like he was Bob's backup the first year they won a cup. His numbers were off the charts, better than Bobrovsky during the regular season by a significant stretch. But when you're behind Bob, you're only going to play so many games. That's just the reality of it. And we saw what Bob did both years in the playoffs. So I kind of see it. Last year, he had the knee surgery, missed a bunch of time. Health has been an issue. But since he sort of found his game in Anaheim, like the last 3 seasons, there is not a better, on a per shot basis, adjusted save percentage being the stat we look at, there's not a better goalie in the NHL. And to get him at 3.75, like here in Vancouver, you could make the comparisons to Demko, although Demko's got a 50-game season and a 64-game season under his belt. Neither one did he make it to the finish line healthy. In terms of, down the stretch and into the playoffs. But like that kind of a discrepancy, they've got him for less than Kevin Lankinen. Like Lankinen was signed to 4.5 to be a 1B. Stolarz is the best 1B in the game, and he's 3.75. Like, again, this will, predicate on health, and he gets a payday and doesn't have to worry about what happens if I get hurt this year and miss a bunch of time going into UFA. So I see it both ways. But man, if he plays anywhere near 45 games, and this becomes, based on how he's played the last 3 seasons, not just last year, and this becomes the best bargain in goaltending in the National Hockey League.
All right. It's hard to argue with that. I was very surprised at the AAV. Now let's get to who is drum roll number 8 to start off the Pacific.
Well, it's got to be San Jose, right? And that's, kind of a combination of environment and experience in Yaroslav Askarov. Obviously, lots of upside. I've read a lot about how this is his opportunity that he was waiting for to be a number 1 goaltender. And I'll tell you this, Alex Nedeljkovic will make him earn it. Like there are things in their game defensively and obviously personnel is part of it, that are going to need to improve. We know they've got a good coach. We know they've got really talented young forwards. Getting them to buy into the defensive game when your defensive players aren't necessarily at an elite level. Like this is a challenge. This is a tough environment for goaltenders. And yet, Nedeljkovic in a tough environment in Pittsburgh last year was plus 0.5% adjusted save percentage, like a top 20 guy. He's a guy that handles the puck as well as anyone in the league. We've seen the goal, but moves and starts breakouts and stops pucks behind his net. Askarov handles it really well too. Those are the kind of traits that can help a team that may not be as stout defensively as you would like. If they can force teams to dump in, they can use their goaltender as an extra guy back there. So I don't expect, I think Alex Nedeljkovic on any other team would have a chance to be a breakout this year because he's posted really good numbers the last couple of years in Pittsburgh. I just don't think we're going to get a chance to see it in San Jose. But the idea that this is a default Yaroslav Askarov's team, I think Ned will push for starts there. I think he's a lot better than a lot of people realize. And yet, having said all that, still hard to have them anywhere but 7th.
8th, you mean?
Sorry, 8th. Yes, there are 8 teams in the division. Counting's hard for us goalies. Couple pucks to the head last week. It's getting a little fuzzy.
So let's move on then to number 7.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And I think it's one that has the potential to really bite me in the butt because I'm actually going to say that I think the backup here has a chance to break out, not to take minutes away, but I think he's ready for a bounce back season. But by the numbers and based on what they are as a team, like deep up front, but not necessarily on the back end, I've got Seattle here. And a lot of people are going to push back on that. And I think Joey Decort's the number 1 goaltender. But the reality over the past 3 seasons is that he is basically league average relative to expected, relative to environment. What happens and what has happened for a number of years now is he has started off great and then faded down the stretch. Now, maybe part of that is they haven't been able to trust Philip Grubauer as their backup goaltender. And so they overplay Joey. Or maybe part of it is as this team, the past 2 seasons, gets down the stretch with nothing to play for, the environment just evaporates and his numbers fall off a cliff. But at the end of the day, in those 2 seasons, for all the great starts, the finishes haven't been there. So I do, however, think that Philip Grubauer, after they sent him to the American Hockey League last year and he came back, he posted a top 5 adjusted save percentage down the stretch.
Yeah.
Now, I think there was some joy in his game rediscovered down with Coachella Valley. I think some of that was Colin Zulianello, the goaltending coach down there, who's been promoted. And like everything I see by the numbers says he's ready for breakout would be the wrong word. I don't think he's going to dig into number 1 minutes. I don't think he's going to take Joey Decord's job. Despite this ranking, I'm actually really big on Joey Decord personally. This is just what the numbers say. But I do think he's ready for a really good bounce back based on what I saw last year. And yet everything out of Seattle is a competition, Matt Murray possibly being the backup ahead of Philip Grubauer, and maybe even we carry 3. So for whatever reason, something's muddying the waters there that I'm not aware of, because the numbers say that Grubauer should be ready to bounce back. And when you add all of that uncertainty to a team that's already had injury issues, that's why I've got them as low as I do. It's not even so much a reflection on their goaltending as a lot of uncertainty about how they're handling that position right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally valid. Number 6.
Anaheim. And this is sort of similar. Like Lucas Dostal could turn this on its ear. We saw how if anybody knows how good Lucas Dostal could be, it's the Edmonton Oilers, right? You've seen it firsthand a couple of times, Jason, right? Just stopping bullets in the teeth. I believe in the talent. And yet by the end of the year, it fell off again. So I do wonder, at some point I'm going to have to run a study here. How much of the end of season numbers, when it falls off like that for a team that's clearly out of the playoffs, it's hard to get guys to buy in defensively. The environment evaporates and eventually goalies fatigue. We saw some of that in Dostal's game down the stretch. His numbers by the end of the year didn't end up anywhere near where they were at the start. By the end of the year, over the past 3 seasons combined, he's right around league average, which is exactly where his backup, Peter Mrazek, is. Billy Husso's had a tough couple of years, but by a lot of accounts, despite sort of being earmarked for the American Hockey League, has had a really good preseason, had a good finish to the year last year. So this is another one that could quite easily move up the ranks, and it's kind of a little hard to have them here. But at the end of the day, it's sort of where the numbers say they should be as opposed to what I think.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins us. So we go to number 5.
And honestly, based on the numbers, they're right there with them, within a 0.1 of a percentage point. But over the last 3 years combined, as we move towards sort of, multiple seasons rather than just what happened last season, because actually if it was just what happened last season, they'd be lower. This is the Edmonton Oilers. Again, I liked what I saw out of Stuart Skinner last night, minus the pirouette in the crease after contact on the right foot on the Coots deflection goal. I never good when you can freeze frame a puck at the face-off dot and the goalie's facing his net. Understand what he was trying to do, but certainly a unique way of doing it. I liked the balance in his game. I'm sure you've noticed it off the rush. It's a little harder to tell on TV, but off the rush, he is way less like he is waiting for the play to get over the blue line before he takes ice. Like I think the amount of times, even the breakaway last night on Filipino, to not end up on his stomach in that situation, like how many breakaways ended with him pitched forward, make a nice controlled save. There's a lot I liked about his game. And so this is another one that I'm hoping is going to be on the rise for the Edmonton Oilers. When we talked last year, a lot of Calvin Pickard's raw numbers were environment based. And when I look at the adjusted numbers over the past 3, these guys are well below expected. And so this is probably tipping towards Calvin's numbers last season, moving this up a little bit, and expectations that Skinner will get better. Because if it was straight numbers, honestly, it'd probably be them and Anaheim flip-flop 6 and 5. But in both cases, chances for upside.
All right, now we move into the top half. Who do you have at number 4?
Never good when you drop your notes as you're talking. Sorry, I'm back.
It's all good.
Head disappeared for those watching. Number 4, the Calgary Flames. And this is one that relies on Dustin Wolf doing what he did last year. And this is one that is heavily on Dustin Wolf. On a per-shot basis, he's arguably a Vezina candidate last year. Forget the Calder Trophy. That's how good he was. His adjusted save percentage was barely below Connor Halley. That's how good he was. Believe in the talent. Believe he'll be that good again this season. But sometimes it's tougher in the second year than it was in year first. Beyond that, you could make an argument if you're Edmonton and Anaheim that this team should be ranked below both of them because of the lack of experience behind Dustin Wolf and even Dustin Wolf's lack of relative experience. At the end of the day, I like his upside and the fact that I expect him to play more games this year now that he's got a year under his belt. I think Devin Cooley has upside. I watched Ivan Prosvetov start here out in Abbotsford against the Canucks. And there's a lot of tools there. They just need to sort of refine some of the positioning and routes he takes through the crease, but he's athletic and explosive. And he was a guy that I talked about a couple of years ago, being surprised Colorado let him go because the adjusted numbers were more flattering than the raw. So again, looking at the upside and looking at how good Dustin Wolf was, a guy who on his own, if we were just judging number ones, would be at the top of this list. That's why I have Calgary ahead of Edmonton and Anaheim.
All right. So now we get to the top three in the Pacific.
Yeah, and it might surprise some people. I actually have Darcy Kemper and Anton Forsberg in the 3-hole.
Okay.
And I think you could make an argument there that they should be in the 2-hole. Darcy's season last year was fully deserving of a Vezina trophy candidacy. Like it was, we've talked about this before, right? Like the Kings were not what they were before defensively. And yet when you look at the balance of work over the past three, like it's fair to say, was this him being more comfortable? Was this something we'll see move forward? If it is, this has the potential to be, the best tandem in the whole Pacific Division. Anton Forsberg in the second half of last season, after he sort of got comfortable on 2 surgically repaired knees and sort of having them underneath him, was really good down the stretch for the Ottawa Senators. So and then when you look at what they have coming up from the minors, like, one of the best prospect pipelines in the NHL outside of maybe Detroit when it comes to goaltending. So there's a lot to like here. But when you take both of their numbers over the last 3 years and add them together, they come out significantly below where Vegas is. And even though there are some other factors that maybe say they should be ahead of Vegas, I've got them slightly below based primarily on those numbers.
Okay. Yeah, like the Kemper one, like he had really good numbers last year.
Really good. And maybe I'm biased a little bit by what I saw in the playoffs. When play opened up, there was some exposure there that got picked apart a little bit. I'm kind of curious to see what the Kings are as a team in front of him. Because like I said, last year, like the adjusted, like his expected save percentage wasn't near the top of the league. Like they were not quite the wagon defensively that they were in the past.
Yeah.
And he was full value for the Vezina. But when it really fell apart in the playoffs, there just wasn't an answer there. The pace of the game seemed to be just a little more than he could handle. And that's, maybe that's weighing in the back of my mind as I try and choose between the two. But that's ultimately where I came out on that one.
Okay. So that leaves us with 2 teams. You have V in Vegas, V in Vancouver. Who are you going?
Well, we're going to, I'm an optimist, right? So Vancouver's is based on a presumption of health, which may be not the right presumption. And that has Vegas in the number 2 spot. Even in a down year last year for Aiden Hill, he was still above expected. And the question marks that a lot of people have about Akira Schmid in the backup role,
yeah,
I'm less so. His numbers were terrible in the American Hockey League, but I do believe he's one of those goalies that if you put structure in front of him and allow him to read the game, like he's one of those guys who's probably better in the NHL than he is in the American League. And he was so good down the stretch that in what were essentially spot starts last year, he ended up outplaying Ilya Samsonov to the point where he was the backup in the playoffs. Like every time I watched him play, he was really good for them. Now, Aiden Hill's had trouble staying healthy. So as much as we could talk about the questions about Vancouver and their goalie staying healthy, Aiden Hill's had that problem too over the past number of years. And Akira Schmid does not have a ton of experience if you need him to be the number 1 and play a bunch of games. Not something he's done a lot.
No.
So there might be a reason they keep getting mentioned in the Carter Hart discussion when it comes to, his ultimate destination. And that may be it right there. But for all the questions about Schmid, I'm more sold on what he's capable of. And the reality is in one of his worst seasons for Aiden Hill last year, he still graded out at a decent level. Certainly not where he was when they won the Stanley Cup. And maybe they'll need him to get back to that. Maybe that'll be too big an ask this year, depending on how they defend without Pietrangelo in the equation. But, when your down season, when his down season is still as good as the best seasons of a lot of guys below him, that's why he's there at the top of the Pacific Division or near the top of the Pacific Division.
So, Kev, you got Vancouver 1. How come?
It's Thatcher Demko, and it's not just presumption of health. It's patterns over the last 4 years. Give him a healthy offseason, which he had this offseason. And that's where he comes into a year and goes 64 games 4 years ago, 51 2 seasons ago. Now, in both cases, as I said earlier, he did not get to the finish line. He didn't make it to the playoffs. One year they pulled the chute on him with about a week left in the season. He'd been playing through something for over a week. And once they were eliminated, they shut him down and he needed surgery. Then after he has the surgery and after he doesn't have a healthy offseason, that's where you see the year where it's 31. Last season, off-season surgery, can't figure out the other surgery on one knee, can't figure out the other knee, and ends up basically playing 23 games. When he has a healthy offseason, he gives you closer to a starter's workload. He's had a healthy offseason. I've watched him in the preseason so far. There's a lot to like. I know he gives up 4 last night, but when I watch him move around the crease, and there are some elements of that movement that's changed a little bit. Looks like maybe injury protection, like he is not slamming into his posts. He's not going inside out with the amount of, he used to hit his post so hard that they would lift an inch and a half off the ice, even in practice every time he did it. As a matter of fact, when the NHL, remember when the posts were coming off and everybody was in silly fashion blaming the goaltending? Someone from the league reached out and said, hey, can you show me practice video so that I can show to the league how hard these guys are instructed to hit it? Like that we need better post security. Like this isn't the goalies on purpose. This is just how they're taught to play. And I sent video of Thatcher Demko because even in practice, he hit the post so hard it would pop right up into the air. So I'm not seeing that now. I'm seeing a steeper entry, a more subtle entry, less sort of inside out violence to it. And I got to think that that's, got something to do with injury preservation. And so, another year of learning, another year with Adam Francilli in the offseason, another year of sort of trying to figure out his body and most importantly, a healthy offseason. I can't tell you whether he finally gets to the finish line in year 5 as a starter, but I can tell you the pattern is he'll play a lot more games than he has in the past. And I think that also gives you a chance to see what we saw of Lankinen for the first month and a half last year, which was frankly adjusted numbers that were at a Hart Trophy level. As soon as you played him too much, they fell off a cliff down the stretch, much like some of the other names on this list. But when he was healthy at the start of the year, he was exceptional. I think you get more of that guy because you have Thatcher there too.
Kev, great stuff, buddy. We will be talking. We should have the waiver wire. We'll see. Quickly, do you see any goalies that you think are going to hit the waiver wire that will be claim worthy between now and next Monday?
Yeah, it's interesting. I can tell you this. I know there are a bunch of teams that are worried about losing guys. And some of that is from conversations with goalie coaches. Some of that is from sort of reading some of the media observations. And it's even the ones where I sort of get it, I don't think they're going to lose their guy. And so I don't know. I mean, Edmonton's probably the one everyone asks the question about. And I'm just not sure there's clear-cut upgrades, especially when you factor in how hard that team plays for Calvin Pickard. And so if Connor Ingram wasn't an upgrade, and again, all factors being equal, if you think he's healthy and in the right mindset and wants to come to your city and it would be comfortable there, when he's on, he's as good as anyone who's going to end up on this list, and he passed through. Ivan Fedotov, who's a high price ticket, and I never thought he'd get claimed. This is the one that gets me. He gets through because Columbus put him down on the first day. If you're really worried about getting your guy through, you should have sent him down by now. Because as soon as you wait to the end, that's when there's a chance. We've got another week of preseason games, chance for more injuries, chance for more teams to second guess. So, if you really are worried about it, you should have sent your guy down by now, because I don't think anybody's claiming this early. Inevitably, we'll probably get an injury between now and the start of the season. And a bunch of teams, like the Leafs did a number of years ago, sent both guys down on the final day and then were upset when they lost them both because they waited too long. So we'll probably see a claim. I just can't tell you who it'll be. And I'm really as curious as anyone to see whether it's to Edmonton.
Awesome stuff, Kev. Appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too, Jason.
That is Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine, NHL.com. It's the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions, and we got Spec and more. A busy Monday edition. It's Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Listen up, because you're not going to want to miss this. Right now is your chance to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Ah, Hawaii. The warmth of a golden sunset as the waves roll in. The freshness of a waterfall. The lush scent of tropical flowers in the air. You don't need to travel to enjoy all Hawaii has to offer. You just need to order pizza. Bring Hawaii home with the Aloha Trio, available for a limited time at Papa John's. Try our classic Hawaiian, super Hawaiian, or Hawaiian barbecue chicken for just $19.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Find incredible savings on everything you need for your home at The Brick. Save up to $800 on sofas and up to $1,000 off select major appliances when you buy 2 or more. Whether you're furnishing a new space or refreshing your current one, The Brick has designs to fit any style and budget, all backed by their exceptional service. Visit one of their 4 locations in Edmonton, downtown, South Common, West Edmonton Mall, or 137th on the north side. See in-store for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
An electrical solar team is now making a play for sustainability and savings. They're specialists in powering up for a greener future.
That's the strategy, designing and installing high-efficiency solar panels. They're helping homes and businesses combat rising utility costs by harnessing the power of the sun.
A smart move for efficiency and the environment. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? By Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, baby. Tune always gets me rolling. I love it. A little dance party Monday. Fantastic. Welcome back to the Gregor Show. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. And be sure to stop by Sports 1440 YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Numbers keep growing. We love it. Appreciate it. As we get to 5 questions, brought to you by The Brick. The Brick has designs to fit any style or budget, all backed by their exceptional service. Check it out in Edmonton, downtown, South Common, West Edmonton Mall, or 137th on the north side. It's The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. Great chat earlier today with Jamie Cartmel discussing his career in sports and communication. So I want to ask you this. If you were doing a job with a pro sports franchise, not player or coach, what role would you want to do?
Well, I think the obvious one would be general manager. I think that would be that, or maybe the president. I think having run a company myself, that would probably be more realistic. So yeah, I would say the president.
I would think like something behind the scenes for me. Team nutritionist. Obviously, I'd have to go back to school and try to learn a little bit about that, but something like that. Just kind of working with the players, but not directly on the on ice perspective. I think that'd be something I'd be looking at. Question number 2 for you. Big win for the Elks, keeping their playoffs hopes alive. If you had to put a percentage on their playoff chances, what would it be?
Ooh. Wow, let's do the math. They're 4 points behind Winnipeg. So you have to beat them 100%. Then you're 2 back. Then you got to hope the Winnipeg loses. Oof. I'm going to guess, I would say like 18%.
I was going to go 15 because I used to wear that number in sports. But yeah, obviously it's going to be a tough thing. I need some help. like we've said before, I feel like they're going to look back at a couple games like, man, if we just handled our business, we would have been good. But it's a low percentage. Question number 3 for you. There's probably an obvious answer here, but outside of the Red Sox Yankees, is there a playoff matchup you're looking forward to the most in Major League Baseball?
Oh yeah, Cleveland, Detroit, man, all day long. I'm very much intrigued by that. Like it's wild to see how they flip-flopped from a 15.5 game deficit for Cleveland to finish first and get home field advantage. But now, you know what, you got to finish that off and beat Detroit. Otherwise, it's like, man, we made this great comeback and then they still beat us in the playoffs. So I love the storylines heading into that series.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, there's probably good storylines in all of these series.
Oh yeah,
I like Dodgers Reds. Like, you know, kind of the team with the huge budget. Obviously, we know how much money the Dodgers spend and the players they bring in and how they're able to do so. Taking on the Reds, who, you know, great organization, great franchise, but maybe not the marquee names that you see all over that Dodgers lineup. There's a few exceptions to that rule, of course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all these series. I can't wait for it to get going. And one of the nice parts about our job, Gregor, TV's in our studio. We can watch it all day long.
Well,
when it gets going.
I actually thought you might pick the Cubbies and the Padres because that's the only series with 2 90 wins teams, is it not? Right? Because the Reds haven't won 90, Bo Sox haven't won 90, and the Tigers didn't win 90.
And San Diego, and a historic Cubs franchise. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they've all got storylines that are going to be fun to watch. Social media between the Yankees and Red Sox fans is about to get crazy toxic, I'm thinking. And that'll probably carry over to the next round. Question number 4 for you. Doubleheader in the NFL. Could have just given us 1 good game, but they're going to give us 2 bad games, it looks like. Jets, Dolphins tonight. Miami coming in at 2.5-point favorites at playalberta.ca, while the Broncos, 7.5-point favorites against the Bengals. Considering the spread, who is your pick to win these games?
Well, I got to take the Dolphins only because I really need, like, can I take the Dolphins and have like the over? I want this to be a 44-41 game. I need a lot of offense from Tua tonight. So that's what I'll go for there. I would take the Broncos even with 7.5 points.
Yeah, I thought about Jets even like money line, not even with the points. That it wouldn't surprise me if they went out and got the job done. And points could be a plenty, I would think, tonight in this one. And then Broncos like a touchdown and a field goal. Like, would it surprise if it was a 10-point margin of victory? Not at all. So yeah, I'm with you. I would take the Broncos with the points. Final question for you today: National Coffee Day. I know it's something you do not like. So outside of coffee, is there a food and or a drink that you will not consume?
Food or drink? Oh yeah, onions if I can avoid it at all costs. I just don't like them. So, yeah, I will say onions followed very closely, but because I've even had onions sometimes. But liver, like I can't do it. No.
Yeah, for me it's pretty easy. Seafood, nothing from the sea. I don't want any part of it. I don't even want to try it. It smells bad to me. I know sometimes you season it up and it looks okay. Declan's brought some salmon in before that hasn't been the worst smell, but seafood, easy answer for me that I will not have.
Ooh, yeah, you don't like seafood. Oh, but don't you have like allergies to it, or you just don't like it?
Just don't like it.
Okay.
I should tell people I have allergies so they don't, say, oh, you got to try this. But no, we gave some to Benny and he got sick.
Oh, well.
So maybe we do have something.
Some people really got a big allergy to certain seafood, so they can't even have it around. So now you could say, sorry, allergic to it. So I have a psychological allergy to onions, but it doesn't really count. Coming up, Spec will be by. Also, Carter O'Donnell's going to join us, going to talk about his time in the NFL, back with the green and gold, and also talk about his wife, Courtney, who was just over at the Women's World Cup final playing for Canada against England. Unfortunately, Canada came up a little short in that match, but still an unreal performance by the women. So we'll talk some football, rugby, hockey with Spec and more on the Gregor Show, presented by playalberta.ca. Let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Buy a new vehicle and help feed families. In September, for every truck sold, Northgate will feed a family of 4. See all their vehicles at northgategm.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Oilers making a little move today with goaltender Matt Tompkins being placed on waivers for the purpose of assignment. The Oilers are back in action Wednesday, taking on the Kraken in Seattle. The Jets announcer, head coach Scott Arniel announcing Dylan Samberg will miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist, which appeared to have suffered in their game against the Flames on Saturday. On the ice right now, Panthers on top of the Canes 1-0 in the second. Later on, you got Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Bruins, Red Wings taking on the Penguins, and the Ducks host the Sharks. Week 4 in the NFL concludes this evening. 2 games on the schedule getting going shortly. You got Dolphins and Jets from Miami. Then at 6:15, the Broncos hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. And in the majors, no games, but some movement. Bob Melvin done with the San Francisco Giants. After an 81-81 season, he spent just 2 years with the organization. And the Minnesota Twins have fired manager Rocco Baldelli. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector, Rogers Sportsnet, and Edmonton Elks offensive lineman Carter O'Donnell. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
God said, I need somebody to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, go to town, and stay all night at a meeting at the school board. So God made a farmer.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. We are so thankful God made a farmer. For the month of September, it is our goal to feed 500 families. With every vehicle sold, we will feed a family of 4. So please help us reach our goal. Visit us online at northgategm.com.
Some people wake up and get dressed for work in a suit and tie or a nice dress. At GS Construction, we're less fashion forward and more putting our best foot forward. We wear hard hats and steel toe boots, and most importantly, we wear 50 years of experience with pride. It's not glamorous, it's definitely not easy, but it matters. We do it well. So if you'd like to be part of something where your work matters, GS Construction is hiring. Just remember, when you come for an interview, ditch the tie. See more at gsconstruction.ca.
Game Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440.
Hired at about 22 seconds.
A trusted barber.
Waivers for purpose of assignment. The team's next action comes on Wednesday.
Sports 13, trying to get back on track.
Family run since 1939. We're experts in
Tintin
crafting
Oil
impeccable
Kings.
tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of
closer
on-site
to another.
delivery. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com.
Dude, always gets me rolling. I love
Mr. Dirk.
Ah, Hawaii. The warmth of a golden sunset as the waves roll in. The freshness of a waterfall. The lush scent of tropical flowers in the air. You don't need to travel to enjoy all Hawaii has to offer. You just need to order pizza. Bring Hawaii home with the Aloha Trio, available for a limited time at Papa John's. Try our classic Hawaiian, Super Hawaiian, or Hawaiian barbecue chicken for just $19.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Elks Nation, 2 weekly podcast with Eddie Steele and Declan Kruger, breaking down the green and gold, the most in-depth WE football coverage on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show, or welcome to it if you're just joining us. As always, brought to you by playalberta.ca, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Any place to watch the game, and hey, any place to get involved in the game, playalberta.ca. It's your one-stop shop. Casino, sports, live dealer, lottery, instance, and more, and even easier to access now. Get the app anywhere in your app store for Play Alberta. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Coming up, Spec. We'll have Carter O'Donnell, also Chris Knobloch. So a huge final hour of the show today as we get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists, specializing in simple things like running water to those freeways to get you home just in time to watch the game. GS Construction, as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, how you doing?
And I hear you had our buddy Jamie Cartmell on the show today.
Yeah, he was in studio having a real good chat, talking about the director of communications and kind of what entails in his gig and many other things. So it was good. Audience, a lot of people like, geez, Greg, I didn't think that'd be that entertaining, but it was actually very informative. So yeah, you know what? I've done this for a few years. I think I know a little bit of times what can be good and different. And, Jamie gave us some great insight to a lot of behind the scenes stuff about players and everything. And, that Spec's a dick. So that was perfect. Everything's everybody knew. So it was great.
We deal back and forth. A guy like Jamie and I have run through a few media heads in my day. But no, Jamie's good at what he does, and I think it's interesting to get a little look inside a world that people really don't know. They know that he exists and that the job exists, but I'll bet you most of your listeners learned a lot about exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I thought if anybody missed it, I highly recommend it. Jamie was on the first hour and 25 minutes of the show today, so definitely can check it out later on anywhere where you get your podcast, or go to jasongregor.com. The interview will be there. Spec. It is preseason, but the Oilers Friday night beat the Winnipeg team. Saturday they beat. Now neither one of those teams had a lot of their guys, but the Oilers haven't given up a ton in those games. You look at shots and scoring chances, anything like that. The big guns really though last night were firing, and Leon Draisaitl. Their first performance they didn't like, and that's what preseason is for. But last night people are like, oh, geez, that duo is pretty good. I almost forgot how good they are together.
Yeah, that in a situation like that, when McDavid and Draisaitl play to their capability, they're going to put up 4 points, and that's what Draisaitl had 4. I think McDavid had 3. Frederick had a couple. Frankly, we know what 97-29 can do. To me, the interesting part was watching Frederick kind of assimilate into that role. He said the first night we went out, we went -3. So I was a little nervous. Like, you don't always get a third chance to play with these guys. So he felt a little pressure last night, and he was good. On the first goal, he was in front of the net, mucking it up, and he created some space for McDavid to score. And then he scored the second one by just banging in a rebound that was right there. So really that kind of defines his job, right? It's not as easy to play with those guys as you think it might be, Jason. There's some nuances, right? And some subtleties you got to figure out along the way.
Yeah. Oh, very true. Trent Frederick, he's kind of just looking more comfortable all the time, Spec.
I think so. I think so. Again, like, even though here's a guy, he's been an NHLer for a long time. He just signed an 8-year deal in Edmonton, so he's part of this thing. And he even said, I was a little nervous coming into this game. Like, even a veteran guy like that, when you're playing with, he said, you're playing with 2 of the best players in the world, you better make it work. And, it's not going to happen overnight. I will say this to you in all honesty. He was never a top 6 player in Boston. The funny line was, he said, well, I played with Patrice Bergeron one time. I ran into him and he broke his nose. But, honestly, Trent Frederick's never been a top line player. So it's different, the role they're asking him to do now. It's a whole different ball game to play with 29-97. It's not like they're expecting him to carry the ball, but this is something new for him and something he's got to figure out. And, I guess that ultimately, Jay, I would think the Oilers are thinking to themselves, hopefully when Zach Hyman gets back, they're not relieved and slapping him on that line right away. Maybe Frederick gives them something to think about. How about that?
Oh, 100%. Like, well, if Trent Frederick performs well there, it just means that, hey, now we maybe got another top 6 right winger. And when Hyman comes back, now we have 2 of them. And that's what you want, right? So, I think Trent Frederick, I think most people would agree, would be a complimentary top 6 winger. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if, would I be shocked if Trent Frederick scored 18 to 22 goals? I wouldn't, right? Like Zach Cassian did for a calendar year. Patrick Maroon did. And I'm not sold that those guys are blessed with infinitely more skill than Trent Frederick.
Yeah, he scored 18 and 17 in Boston. So, I guess the question kind of becomes, like, when Zach Hyman returns, does that mean he just steps back in next to McDavid and Draisaitl goes back to his own line and we go back to where we were before? Or, there seems to be a bit of a spirit of changing things up around here this year and not doing it exactly like we did it the last 2 years. Now, maybe I'm going to say this. You did it the way you did it the last 2 years because you thought it was the best way to line your team up. So you're not just going to change for the sake of change, just if you don't think it's a good idea. But I will be interested when Hyman returns. What do you think? Do you think that they continue to keep Draisaitl and McDavid together, or when he comes back, do they get split up?
Well, I think right away. I don't know if Zach Hyman, who hasn't played a game since late May, and you're just going to slot him in game 1 on the first line, that he comes back, probably not. So I don't think instantly. No, I think Zach Hyman, I wouldn't be shocked if he starts on your second and third line, and then they kind of just mix him in. Especially, you got to see where his wrist's at and how it's going to impact his play.
Yeah, okay. Sure, you probably don't put him in the first line in the first game, but I guess eventually, my point would be.
Eventually, yes, Beck. I just don't think right away, but down the road, do I think Zach Hyman is the best right wing option for Connor McDavid? I do.
Yeah, but then do you leave Draisaitl on the left wing?
No, I wouldn't put. At that point, you want to spread it out. I think he being the head coach, wants a good start, and he feels the one line he can feel most confident with that will have, they don't have to carry him every night, but they have the capabilities of maybe in their first 10 games, 2 wins. That they're the main focal points for 2 wins, and then say, hey, can the rest of our team help us get 4 other wins? And if we go 6-4 or 6-3-1 in our first 10, we're pretty happy.
Yeah, I think, there's clearly that's what we're doing here is fight. The Oilers are trying to get a good start. So anyway, they've got some things going on at camp. It'll be interesting to see. Like they do have, Noah Philp came up with a couple more, I thought, strong performances. Like he's trending like a guy that's, looks like he should make the team. Chris Knobloch spoke to us today about, these young players we're going to start the season with. And the inference is basically that they're going to have more than 1 or 2 guys like Savoy, Howard, Philp, sound like maybe all 3 make the team start out here.
Well, with Zach Hyman out of the lineup, that opens a door for one of them for sure, right? I don't think there's any debate on that. If Zach Hyman was here, I don't think there's room for Savoy and Howard, to be honest, but to start it is. And, and Ike Howard, the thing I've liked about Howard is, Beck, he's looked more comfortable the longer training camp has gone on. That's a good sign. Sometimes guys start out well, and then reality kicks in, and it's like more NHL players, and slowly you don't see them as much. And we haven't seen that yet. Now, that could easily change this week when you have 2 games where it's going to be probably 85 to 95% NHL players in the opposing lineup. So that will factor in. And here's the challenge, Beck, and I'm sure you've talked to guys. I've talked to so many scouts, GMs, assistant GMs over the year. The biggest, and even coaches, is so you look at a player in preseason and it's like, well, that's all we got. But then you end up asking yourself, but who's he played against? And so, yeah, he looks good, but he looks good against other AHLers or, maybe, what it is. So but there's no better option. You can't necessarily, because the player looks and says, well, what do you want me to do? I can only play against the guys I play against. Like, what can I do? Like somehow say, hey, tell the other team to play their top guy so I can play against them and show you I can play. It doesn't work that way. So that's the hard part, I think, of preseason, and why, in a way, Spec, next year, when there's only 4 games and there's probably going to be shorter, teams will get down to rosters quicker. They'll be like, hey, we got 4 games. Guess what? We're going to have closer to NHL lineups in at least 3 of those 4 games, maybe all 4.
Yeah, it's like the whole dynamic, right, around good young players, and do you start them in the NHL when they're sort of first turning pro? Like Matt Savoy played a year in Bakersfield. Okay, Howard hasn't. It's his first year of pro hockey. You start him in the NHL. I mean, let's go through Oilers lore. I wrote this today. It's up on sportsnet.ca. Chris Knobloch had a couple of very interesting points, but Magnus Pajärvi couldn't hack it. Jesse Puljujarvi played till November, couldn't hack it. Yakupov played right away, couldn't hack it. Taylor Hall, Nugent Hopkins, pretty much Darnell Nurse, they all played right away and survived it. But you can't, like as Knobloch said, with a guy like Howard, look, he might make it up to the top two lines eventually. That's what you hope. But he said, if you start him there right away, that means you're starting him against the other team's best pairings and best players. Like, you really have to weigh, giving a guy ice time and giving him NHL time, but not putting him in a position where he fails and loses his confidence. And you're sending him down in November. You really have to be careful with that. We watched it in Edmonton for years. Just force feeding a guy ice time he's not ready for, that is never the answer. So that's why they get paid. Bowman, Knobloch, those guys, it's important to do it the right way because you only get one first start here.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, I think Edmonton is in a good position. I haven't seen any players that are left that look like they clearly don't belong. But the final cuts are always the hardest. I think at the end of the day, there'll be lots of talk, and then we'll probably be the people that we thought were going to be here, unless there's an injury or two that creeps up, right? Podkolzin comes back in spec, so that, that knocks someone else down the lineup, whether he plays Wednesday or Friday. I think we'd all agreed there's no question Podkolzin's in your top 9 when the season begins next Wednesday. Of the new guys, let's say Mangiapane, Tomasek, Savoy, Howard, Lazar. Who have you liked the most so far, and why?
They got a lot of guys here, don't they? Like, I've seen bursts of Kapanen, but that pretty much is his whole career. Kapanen can play. We know what he can do. I'm not sure he makes the top 9 on this team. There's a lot of guys. I think Savoy has had less points, but been a better player than Howard, if you know what I mean. I like his game. He's creating stuff. It hasn't been going in, but I really like the way he's played. He seems to have the puck more than Howard. He carries the puck more. Tomasek. What are you doing with Tomasek here? He's clearly older. He's more savvy. He's clearly not. There's no wide eyes here on this guy. He's been around. I'm not sure where he plays. Like, if you want to play him as center, Jay, I'm not sure. In the long run, if you and I both agree that when this team gets rolling and everyone's healthy, the centermen are McDavid and then Draisaitl, and then who's your third line center? Either Henrique or Nugent Hopkins. Are we playing Tomasek as your fourth line center? I think that might be Philp's job. So where's he play? I'm not so sure. There's room. There's a lot of guys. Where's Curtis Lazar playing on this team? Right? Where's he going to play?
Well, he might be your 13th guy, right? It's a valid question. And the thing is, like, fourth line veteran center like that, like those guys, it's like Janmark. They don't do much in preseason. Now, Janmark didn't do much in the regular season last year. Had 2 goals, but everybody knows he's ultra responsible. So we'll
he's a guy that you love in the playoffs. We know that, Jay, right? Janmark's a good playoff guy, but geez, like, if you're going to add 3, let's just say for fun, you're going to add 3 young players in Savoy, Howard, and Philp, and you're going to break camp with those guys. There's got to be some veterans here, or at least one who played on this team last year who's on the waiver wire. Like, whether it's Janmark, I'm going to include Lazar in that. I know he didn't play last year. There's some veteran guys, Kapanen. Like, there's just too many players here right now. And if you're going to pick those young guys, I think we're going to see an older guy on the waiver wire. And no one's picking up Janmark. He's got 2 years left at 1.4. But the conversation is starting to get broached here. If we like these kids, if Knobloch likes these kids so much, there's not enough chairs at the table for all those veterans.
Yeah, probably. I got to see it to believe it when it comes to all the young guys coming in at one time, right? That's all I'm saying. So, and like Zach Hyman's absence will open it up. Like, to me, Jones, once he's back healthy, he'll go on waivers. So, there's an easy one. And then there's really only, now it all comes down to what they're going to do with the cap. And And if you massage the cap, because they're going to want Hyman not on LTIR at least for 1 day, right? You don't want to start the season in LTIR. I know it's only 1 day, but that's how it is. So we need confirmation spec on the rule. If you send someone down to the American League, which is now in place, they have to play a game. I would assume that doesn't start until the American League actually is playing regular season games. But with the NHL, you never know. And I can tell you, having spoke to 3 teams, they don't know the answer to that question. And there's meetings this week on just to get clarification. Common sense would tell me that, hey, you want to put a guy down because Zach Hyman's going to go on LTIR. You wait 24 hours. He goes on LTIR. You recall the player you sent down. It happens all the time. Teams do it all the time. It's totally legal.
Yeah.
But with the new rule of you have to play a game in the American League, are they going to try to say, well, yeah, you got to play a preseason game in the American League? I don't know the answer to that question yet.
Listen, we just sat, Bill Scott gave us a tutorial on what Bill Scott's capologist for the Oilers, among other things. After dinner the other day, he gave us a bunch of media guys a tutorial on how the Florida Panthers, what they're allowed to do in the case of Barkov.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all new, right? There's all new rules, so we're all trying to learn them. This thing with Bakersfield, if you have to play a game down there, or do you have to play? Do you have to just be there? I mean, do you have to physically? It's pretty easy if you're the Winnipeg Jets for a guy to say, yeah, I was at the Moose game because it's across town, or the Toronto Marlies, right? It's pretty tough when you got to fly a guy to LAX and then bus him 2.5 hours up to Bakersfield just to say you went to the minors. That's a whole new ball game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it totally is. So something to watch.
Major disadvantage Oilers on that one, my friend. Calgary, their team's right in their own building, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah, but they still, but it's not about that. It's they have to play a game, right? So if they have to play the game, then it's, even if you're in Calgary, you played the game and it's closer, but that game's got to be at home, so and you got to be at home at the same time. So it'll be interesting. I would like to think common sense prevails here and that it won't matter until the regular season begins, but we'll see. Spec, we will talk MLB playoffs and more tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun.
All right, brother. Can't wait for us. It's baseball palooza tomorrow, man.
Oh, unreal. Yes, unreal. From 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. Edmonton time. Fantastic. Quick break. We'll return. Carter O'Donnell will join us. We'll talk CFL, coming back from the NFL, and also his wife playing for Canada at the World Rugby Finals. That and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Is your company drowning in paperwork and administrative tasks? Do you need more data to make better decisions? Nectar.io is your company's all-in-one solution for fleet and materials management, safety, time cards, and GIS-based project management. Now is the time to capture and transform field, site, and shop data into boardroom-level business intelligence, all with one login. Visit Nectar.io to book a demo today. Nectar.io, your business made better.
I'm a little hungry.
I've got booster balls from Booster Juice.
Booster what now?
Booster balls. They're little protein bites packed with nutrients. Chewy, crunchy, yummy, and new flavors all the time. Like this little guy, the new mint chocolate booster ball, peppermint cocoa, coconut, peanut butter, maple syrup, all rolled up into a delightful little bite-sized snack.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
I don't know.
Can I have one?
No.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999. Find incredible savings on everything you need for your home at The Brick. Save up to $800 on sofas and up to $1,000 off select major appliances when you buy 2 or more. Whether you're furnishing a new space or refreshing your current one, The Brick has designs to fit any style and budget, all backed by their exceptional service. Visit one of their 4 locations in Edmonton, downtown, South Common, West Edmonton Mall, or 137th on the north side. See in-store for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
September, back to class and back to carting the kids around. Good news. Until the end of the month at Wolf GMC Buick, get GMC employee pricing on all remaining 2025 GMC Sierras, so you'll have loads of room. Plus, get 0% financing on Sierra light-duty crew cabs. If you're eyeing up an SUV, we have the completely redesigned GMC Terrain and our entire Buick family with incredible prices. And Costco members up to $1,200 additional off the price. Come see us, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
At Fountain Tire, we're fluent in saving you money. Fluent? Yes, we've mastered the language of deals. Like right now, you can save up to 25% off select tires and up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires. Plus, $50 off $150 service when you buy those tires. All until October 18th. I'm sorry, I don't speak deals. Spend less, save more when you buy Round Black things from us. Oh, got it. Restrictions apply. Book your appointment online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada. At Fountain Tire, get up to 25% off select tires, up to $125 off a set of 4 select Goodyear tires, and $50 off $150 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Northwest Crane, available for your lifting and equipment needs. Specializing in selling and servicing cranes, get lifting at northwestcrane.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:28. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, rolling through a busy Monday. Man, today is flying by. Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. It's time to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches will safely take you and your team to your next destination in style. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. Joined by a former University of Alberta Golden Bear, played in the NFL for 5 seasons, and now with the Edmonton Elks on the O-line, Carter O'Donnell. Join us, Carter. Welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Jason. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm excellent. Kind of a little bit of full circle football for you, of course. You know what? Coming back to Alberta after a stint in the NFL, where obviously injuries, I think, played a big role in it. Going from you, and we'll get to the Elks in a second, but going from U Sport to the NFL, and as an offensive lineman, yard off the ball, now there's no gap. Is it easier to go from 1 yard off the ball to no yards off the ball, or is it harder? Which way is like an easier transition for an offensive lineman?
I think it's just different. I would say the yard helps you get to your spot a little. I'd say a little, maybe not. I don't want to say easier, but you're kind of able to get that spot quicker. But the D lineman also gets to get more kind of steps in the ground, so you can build up like a little bit of a head of steam on you. So they're just kind of different,
Yeah, okay, that's fair. And so, you played both, and obviously you excelled at both. You play at the highest level. You come back here now, and to join a team, I think you had a week of practice, and then boom, you get right in there. Obviously, players want to play. The play calling, because you've been a pro for so long, is it easy to pick up an offense? Or is it that much different because you go the play calling, the quicker time clock? Like, was it a big adjustment coming just back to the style of the CFL?
Yeah, a bit. I have to remember, like, when I get down there and it's second down, I'm like, oh, this is the last one. This is the pass down. I got to remember, not to stay on the field for that extra down. But other than that, like, I've been, I was training kind of the whole time, getting ready to kind of go join a team for camp or into the season there. So I kept my body ready the whole time. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, kind of thing.
Chris Morris told me, and he of course coached you at the U of A, and I remember at the time he goes, "I never seen an offensive lineman move like Carter did." Like, just where did that come from? Like, how did you get to be so agile?
I don't know. I think it's kind of one of those things you're born with. And then, I always took a very serious approach to training. So I think that's always important. And, obviously it feels really good to have high praise from Chris Morris there. So.
Now, what about as a young athlete? What other sports did you play other than football?
I played baseball a lot growing up. Kind of stopped playing once I got into high school, started to wrestle, really liked wrestling. But then after my grade 10 year, the coach left. So then I kind of just focused on football. And then I really kind of found my passion for kind of like working out, lifting, and yeah.
So did you really not play football until high school?
No, I did. I played grade. I started in I think it was grade 6.
Oh, okay. Okay. And were you, now, did you play any other positions other than O-line? Play D-line? Did you play anything else?
Yeah, I played pretty much both lines growing up, especially as kind of when you're on that senior level or like the higher age group growing up.
Okay.
And in high school, like my last year, it was like offense, defense. I think I was on all special teams minus maybe kick return, I think. So, yeah.
Now, when you weren't selected in the NFL draft, but you signed as a free agent right after the draft by Indianapolis. Take me through kind of, that period, guy undrafted. We're seeing more Canadians now than ever go to the National Football League. And what was the biggest eye-opener your first day when you went to Colts camp?
I'd say like when I was playing in U Sports there at U of A, there's some good athletes for sure, but down there just the volume of like everybody's this very elite level athlete, and you got to be. Doesn't matter who it is, if it's the starter or whoever. Like you got to be on your game. You got to take good steps. You got to put yourself in the best position possible. I mean, you really need to have a close attention to detail on all your technique. I think I kind of got away with some stuff when I was playing at U of A there, just being so much stronger and athletic than some of the guys. But once you get guys that are, some of the best in the world, you really have to be very detail orientated on your technique and kind of the play and your approach to it.
So let's dig into that a little bit. When you talk about your technique and what you could get away with, because you're just, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're more athletic than a lot of the people in U Sport. When you went up there, what are some of the small technical things that you're just, okay, I've really got to maybe sharpen these up or hone in on? What specifically were those things?
I'd say for run game, like making sure your first 2 steps are in the right spot. You can't step too far underneath yourself. Those couple little inches can really put you in a bad spot. And then I'd say, same thing in the passing game. If you're taking your set, if you're a tackle or guard and you're setting a 3 technique or, a 7, you got to make sure you're kind of like, you can visualize the middle of the cylinder, the D lineman and that middle of the cylinder in line where he wants to go to the quarterback, and putting yourself kind of in that line. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, totally makes sense. Like it's funny because I've talked to a lot of O-linemen over the years. Carter O'Donnell joins. And they always joke like you got to be very cerebral to be a good offensive lineman, because it's just as you described it. Like you got to pick up so many things so quickly against guys who are you're kind of naturally. I know when you run block, sure it's a little different. You can be a little bit more offensive, but when you're pass blocking, you're on the defensive side. Even though I know you're the offensive one, and to handle guys coming at you when you're backing up, like it's a real skill set to see and think. And in a split second, like you got to be so quick off the ball because the opposing guys are so quick off the ball. And then you got to see everything like that. And it's, one hand movement where if all of a sudden, because some guy will slap your hand down, you don't want him to do it, and he does it. And then like when you're an offensive lineman, you think a guy's got you beat. What's your mindset at that point? Is it just like take a penalty, don't get the quarterback crushed? Or like when do you know when to say, well, geez, I just got to let it go because I don't want to take a penalty? How do you balance that in that literally split-second decision?
Yeah, there's a couple of different trains of thought. Usually like in my head, if if you get beat, you're kind of like, uh-oh, and then just strain as hard as you can to give really give the play a chance to get going, like get the play started without getting a penalty. Because a lot of time you get that penalty, then now you're even in a worse spot. So you don't want to get the penalty, but you also need to kind of strain and kind of give it all you got just to kind of get the play going.
Carter O'Donnell joins. Carter, I don't know how much you knew about Justin Rankin before you joined the Elks this year, but he's a very dynamic back. He can make something out of nothing all the time. You give him a little hole and he's gone. When you block, like, do you have to block different at certain time? Like no one say, hey, I got this guy and I know he's explosive here. Like I only have to be, in my right spot for a shorter period of time because then I know he'll hit the hole. Like are those type of things going through your mind when you block for a certain running back compared to another one?
Not in my mind. Like Rankins is a absolute dog, like a great player. When I go block for him, I'm just trying to strain and just give him his best opportunity to, be successful on the play. So I'm just trying to, just do my job, right? That's all I got to do. And I know he'll do his. So I'd say that's my approach.
Can you describe just how big of a relief and how good it is for the confidence of your team to close out that game? Because the previous two, like you guys played really well for the vast majority of the game, and then you're just unable to close out. And that feels devastating. We're like, God, like for 59 minutes, we're the better team. And then boom, 1 minute happens and we lose the game. How important do you think it was for your team? And do you believe that winning tight games is something that, requires a little bit of learning on how to do it?
Yeah. I'd say like, there's so many plays in a football game. Obviously, the game concludes there at the end, but
yeah,
I think it's just being very consistent and out executing your opponent really throughout the game. I'm a big believer in games are not won, they're lost. So whoever makes the least amount of mistakes is usually the one that wins the game. So I think that game we were able to execute, get our jobs done, and come home with the win.
Carter, my understanding is that your wife, Courtney, pretty good rugby player. Of course, Team Canada, the national team, just went to the World final and unfortunately came up short, but had an unbelievable performance right the way through it. Tell me, I first watched rugby live when my younger sister played at the U of A, and I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, like this was really physical and super fast. What impresses you most about rugby?
Rugby, maybe this might be the fat guy talking to me, but just how much they run. Okay. You're going the whole time. There's no TV timeouts. There's no, it's two halves. They're going the whole time running. There's no stoppage. The endurance, everything. Super proud of my wife and the rest of our teammates. Just a bunch of amazing women. Couldn't be prouder.
The fact, like, there's no helmets in rugby either, right? Like, your tackling has to be very sound to not get hurt in rugby. When you look at just like the difference techniques, have you ever just watched and be like, geez, you know what? Like, not that you're a tackler by any stretch of imagination, but how you engage. I know it's a completely different sport, but what do you make of like how rugby plays without really hardly any equipment compared to football?
Yeah, no, that's it's super impressive. Like, and then how beat up they get. You don't see too many. You get the odd broken nose here or there, and black eye. But rugby way more prevalent. I see in the tackling a much different technique, I think they're kind of transitioning to it, or have in the last few years with football. But getting, instead of putting your head in front of the ball carrier, they put their head in behind them so they don't catch anything to the side of the head, and do kind of that roll tackle, good form tackle around the legs, kind of the gator roll technique. So I noticed that stuff for sure.
Courtney ever line up in practice and take Carter down just to sharpen up her tackling skills?
I wouldn't want to get hurt, so I couldn't. I wouldn't want to do that.
Now, were you able to watch the game in the morning on Saturday?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. How much did you know about rugby before you met Courtney?
Pretty little. I remember I came out and I played like a game or two in high school, and then decided to more focus on football. But I had a rough idea, but it's nice I can watch the games, and kind of my rugby knowledge has definitely increased in the last 5 years.
What does an off week this late in the season look like for you?
Right now, just getting the body healthy, getting physically prepared to play. I'd say, and just see my wife. I haven't seen her since I don't even know, like almost 2 months. So
what?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, she's been traveling. I've been out training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is she back home yet?
Yes. Yeah. she landed in this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. So you get a little, well, it's kind of perfect timing then for the bye week. You can hang out a little bit together.
Oh, yeah.
But do you will you go in? I know the bye week, I don't know what the rules are. If you choose on your own, could you go in and do film work this week, or is that just not allowed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure you can. That's
Okay.
definitely what I'm be doing here. We're able to now, you can watch it at home. You don't have to be in the facility to do stuff like that. I just kind of go in, get treatment, get the body ready, keep the body ready, stuff like that.
Well, Connor, thanks so much for this. Enjoy the bye week. When you come out, it's a must-win game against Winnipeg and in front of what should be a very big crowd on the 11th. And it'll be a lot of fun. And hopefully your wife gets to watch you live in person for the first time in a while.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you.
That is Carter O'Donnell, offensive lineman for the Elks. Of course, his wife, Courtney, of course, Nate Holtkamp. Now she's O'Donnell, of course, playing for women's rugby team and rather ferocious on the field as well. Man, what a performance by the Canadians. They were great in that. They just came up a little bit short in the final, but still just an unbelievable performance by them. And really, I think opened up the eyes to a lot of people to say, hey, we got to, the funding factor here for women's rugby. What's going on? It's definitely something that needs to be addressed. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Chris Knobloch joins us next. It's the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Work never gets done by standing around. You have to put your words into action. And that's exactly what GS Construction does every single day. Our priorities are safety first, quality second, efficiency third. GS Construction works hard. It's true, but first comes the care, the planning, and the people. Underground infrastructure isn't just about machines and trenches and some traffic inconveniences. It's about doing things right. Find out more on what we do. Visit gsconstruction.ca.
Listen up, because you're not going to want to miss this. Right now is your chance to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe that life shouldn't hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know that sometimes it really hurts. I mean, we've seen people at their worst moments in life, when they feel they have nowhere to turn, or at a time when they felt like their problem just wouldn't ever go away. We've also seen people who thought to themselves, it'll just go away on its own, or this is no big deal. I don't want to bother anyone about this. Don't know where to turn to, or think it's no big deal. Either way, we have the technology, techniques, and skills to help you get back to it, whatever your it may be. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Yeah, can I get a...
yes. A common reaction from a veggie lover. Always scanning, searching, longing. But wait, what is this we see? The new McVeggie. Now at McDonald's.
While the players gear up for the new season, make sure you gear up your snack game with Will Hawk Beef Jerky.
Okay, this jumbo bag of beef jerky should last the preseason.
Whoa. Will Hawk has more than just beef jerky. There's smoked sausage and pepperoni products, too.
Well, how about we have jerky for Eastern opponents and pepperoni sticks when we face the Western teams?
Now that sounds like a Will Hockey game plan.
Will Hawk Beef Jerky, because you don't win games with salad. Only available in Leduc.
For all things golf carts, it's the Golf Cart People. Their certified techs provide expert service from maintenance to custom upgrades. Customers can explore the sales floor for new and used Club Car, Yamaha, and E-Z-Go models. The Golf Cart People stock a wide variety of parts and accessories to keep every ride in top shape and offer convenient rentals for tournaments, weddings, and festivals. Trusted for sales, service, parts, accessories, and rentals since 1997. Visit the Golf Cart People at golfcartpeople.com, your complete golf cart solution.
Backed by popular demand, Folsom Prison Revisited. The story of one of the greatest concerts in history returns to the Jubilee Auditorium. November 22nd. Step back in time before, during, and after this iconic Johnny Cash performance, featuring Devin Brain from $1 Million Quartet and an all-star band. You'll relive an event that changed the life of Johnny Cash and changed music forever. Tickets at Ticketmaster.ca and at the Jubilee box office. Brought to you by Stars and Stories Live.
The Lawnmower Hospital. Finish up the season with the Lawnmower Hospital and Ego, the #1 rated battery-powered platform. Ego lawnmowers are easy to use, powerful, and efficient. Transfer the battery to the pressure washer and clean the house. Don't forget the air blowers for when the leaves fall. Get Ego at the Lawnmower Hospital. Power beyond belief. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com. We're more than repairs. We're more than mowers. The Lawnmower Hospital.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. The Oilers are back in action, and OTR is ready to be your hockey headquarters. $5.75 Molson Canadian and 60-cent wings. Also, you can play, score, and win every game. See more at OnTheRocksYEG.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Gregor Halley, Sports 1440. Sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Chris Knobloch, some updates on a few things. And maybe the main one right now. We know that Hyman's out. What about Jake Wallman? What is the update on the health of Jake Wallman?
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's getting better. He's day-to-day. We'd like to get him into the last exhibition game. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But definitely think for sure at the worst to be the home.
Okay, so you heard that. Best case, they get him in Friday. Worst case, then it would be the home opener, which is on next Wednesday against the Calgary Flames. What now? I have not hidden my joy about the fact that this will be the last preseason of 8 games. But Chris Knobloch was asked, what's his thoughts on a short preseason next year?
No, I think 4, maybe 5 exhibition games would be the best case scenario. I think it just gets you down to your roster quicker. You have a pretty good idea what your team's going to look like. There's a few extra guys that are trying out and maybe get into the lineup. But then you can really start working on things. I think we'll probably have a little more practice time. Obviously less games. So overall, I'm looking forward to it.
His thoughts, it's first time, obviously you hired him, but first time working with Pete Aubry and what he's learned from him and what he likes for his new goalie coach.
I like a lot of things about him. I hired him. I think he's got a good rapport with the goalies. Just calm, gentle, very informative with the player or with the goalies. Obviously he's building that relationship and kind of wanting to take it to another level. But right now, I think he's been establishing a really good, solid foundation.
What about the balance that the coach has of trying to bring in younger players, knowing they're insulated and putting them with talent, but then also at the same time, trying not to put them in a place to fail?
There's a fine line. We have to balance on giving them opportunities, and we know that they're going to fail as long as it's just in a short period of time and they can build themselves up and get up again and move on. If you put them in such a hard situation that it's a complete fail and destroys their confidence and it's tough to get them going again, we don't want that either. So, I think we have got good players so you can complement each other, those younger guys. But, it's a balancing act of putting them in a situation where they're going to succeed. If they're playing with better players, that would help them. but it's also they're going to be playing against other teams' top players, which is going to put them in more, expose them. So we'll do our best.
There you go. The head coach of the Oilers. What's his thoughts specifically on Ike Howard and what he's seen and what he likes so far from the youngster?
Well, I think he's been getting better every day. He feels more comfortable. He's skating. He's making more plays. He's getting into the middle of the ice. He's got some scoring opportunity or chances. There was a couple the other night, which I liked. I think he can do a better job protecting the puck. I think he has that skill. He's strong on his skates, and he's got that skill. And I know in the first or third period, I remember seeing it, but I'm not sure which period it was in. I know where it happened, but he spun off a guy and he protected it. And then now for him to make the next play, I think just that's going to come with time. Maybe getting more comfortable playing in the National Hockey League. I know this is just exhibition, I guess, playing against National Hockey League players, but I think he's off to a great start.
You know what? I'm interested to see him this week, Connor Halley, to see what Ike Howard does. What about you? And we didn't even really get to talk about your Chargers, so we'll talk about them tomorrow. But give me your thoughts on Howard and the Chargers.
Howard, very intrigued, like you said, as the preseason goes on, to see what he's able to do against the tougher competition, a little more regulars. Chargers, hey, I didn't take you in a survivor pool for a reason. I saw that as a possibility. So,
really?
Yeah. Bad offensive line against a good defensive front for the Giants. Not good for Justin Herbert.
Oof. All right. So there we go. We will see. Have yourselves a great Monday night doubleheader and Monday Night Football. Enjoy that. We'll have all sorts of baseball, hockey talk, football, and more tomorrow. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Be safe. Enjoy your Monday evening. Let's get to Sports 1440 update brought to you by 01 Hockeyology. Sharpen your game year-round at 01 Hockeyology and get a membership. 18 skates a month for only $300. Check it out now, 01.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers placing goaltender Matt Tompkins on waivers for the purpose of assignment. The team's next action comes Wednesday, taking on the Kraken. Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel says defenseman Dylan Sandberg will miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist that he suffered